T-Birds and Bruins ready for just their second meeting this season. The first one, the T-Birds put up quite a fight against the Bruin team that has won 16 of its first 20 games to start the year. Bruins were up 3-0 midway through the second period of their first meeting back on the 24th of October. But the T-Birds rallied for a pair of power play goals in the second by Dalibor Dvorsky and Juraj Pekarczyk. Alek Koskamaki tied the game early in the third, but the T-Birds suffered a heartbreaking defeat that night. Fabian Lysell, a breakaway game-winning goal with just 1:47 left in regulation time, which gave the Bruins, in the end, a 5-3 win as they added an empty netter for good measure. Lysell has been a red-hot Providence Bruin to begin this season. Both he and Riley Tufte are on pace for 80-point seasons. Lysell with 19 points so far on the campaign. Riley Tufte with 16 points in just 13 American League games this season. Patrick Brown, their captain, though, leading the charge. 22 points in 20 games. The prior career high for Brown in his long-standing professional career at age 33 was 46 points last year. Brown is on pace to put up close to 75 points himself this year. 9 goals out of those 22 points for the Bruin captain and a former Calder Cup champion with Charlotte back in 2019. Of course, the image of that best-of-3 series that rings the brightest for Bruin fans, the shot that Patrick Brown blocked with his face in the third period of Game 2 in this building in a scoreless tie. Had it gone in, the T-Birds would have won in regulation, would have ended the Bruins season. Brown got stitches in the dressing room, came back with a full cage for overtime. Bruins ended up winning that game and ended up winning that series and their next series as well before bowing out to the Charlotte Checkers, the eventual Eastern Conference champions. Referees tonight, Matthew Manetti and Jim Curtin, with linesmen Stephen Drain and Brent Colby. T-Birds in those blue specialty uniform tops, still attack left to right in this first period. Road blacks with gold trim for the Bruins as they move from right to left. T-Bird fans have their arms ready to fire as right away Pekarczyk threw it right through the blue paint after Zajíček nearly gave it away right to Juraj in the slot area. T-Birds have had a couple of rapid-fire teddy bear goals in their history. 3 times they've gotten it done in less than 2.5 minutes. And it nearly happened even sooner than that tonight. Riley Duran now in across the T-Bird zone, trying to send it down low, but it's picked off by Marc-Andre Godet. And now Springfield at the controls with Dylan Peterson. He'll chip it inside the Providence zone. He's heading back toward the bench on a line change. Ty Gallagher, his former collegiate teammate at Boston University, back to play it for the Bruins as he has a catch with Frederick Brunet. Gallagher now through center will lob it inside the T-Bird zone. Rosen is there to scoop it back to the T-Bird blue line. Poitras trying to hold the zone, but his pass pulls Willan into center. Fabian Lysell will now ring it in. Romanov back to hand off for Hunter Skinner up the near side. Poitras drilled in the back by Wagner. Now Poitras quickly centering. Lushmelis couldn't fire. Billy Sweezy will, and that's grabbed and held by Romanov. Relatively easy first save for Georgia. 1:09 into the festivities. Juraj Pekarczyk nearly brought the Teddy Bears down in the opening 20 seconds of this game after Zajíček and a bad giveaway from behind his net. Draw will be to the left of Romanov, who has now stopped 98 of the last 103 that have come his way. Bruins, interestingly, have only lost 4 times all season, but 3 of those 4 times they have had a goose egg. The other time they scored only 1 goal in their loss earlier this week to Laval. Lysell ahead for Poitras. Will gain the red line and bounce it inside the T-Bird zone. Wagner gives him a little forearm shiver. Otto Stenberg now outlets it through center underneath the blade of Peterson, but it will not be icing. Zajíček is out to play it. Czech-born undrafted netminder who's been a real find for Ryan Muginel's club. 7-1 in his first 8 American Hockey League starts as Jackson Edward bounces one in. Romanov out of his net to play it now. For Skinner and now Matthew Pekka. T-Bird captain under pressure from fellow captain Patrick Brown. Pekka eventually moves it forward for Peterson, and out to center goes Jakob Stunel. Peterson rolls it in. Stunel and Felix to the end boards in the battle. Peterson next on the scene for the T-Birds. Stunel pulls it free, centering for Pekka. Out of his glove, but he couldn't get a shot away, and Riley Tufte, the big man, will skate his way to center. Up for Brown on the right wing. Brown trying to work his way around Rosen, following up is Georgi Merkulov. Merkulov from the right wing half boards, turns it in deeper for Tufte, and now Brown in the left corner with it. Patrick Brown shoved by Skinner. Pekka arriving back on the loose puck right up against the end wall. 2 players per side on the battle. Pekka able to stand his ground against the much larger Tufte. And away to center comes Stunel, but he only gets it as far as the Bruin line. Brown will back into the T-Bird zone and back on his Cadet. The near side for Sam Stang. Now Stunel to neutral ice. Handing on for Stang. Stang a left wing feed. Lindstein back to Stang. Saves Zajac. Stang didn't get much on the redirection bid, and Zajac just closed the 5-hole shut. Better start tonight for the T-Birds, needless to say, after they were very slow out of the gates last night in Hartford. And this is a Providence team that you do not want to fall behind 1-0 to. This year, it has been a guaranteed death sentence to all Bruin opponents. Bruins are a perfect 13-0 when they score first, just 3-4 when they don't. Now away to center comes Brett Harrison. Harrison up the left side. He'll pitch it in behind Romanov's goal line. Lindstein is back for it for the T-Birds. He'll rattle it around to Stang. Now Lindstein around the goal for Cadet as the Bruins and T-Birds are both completing some changes. Now in center it's Robertson up the left side for Hugh McGing, trying to get to the inside around Swayze. Couldn't get that done as a Hansen mass product able to shut it down. Swayze a team best +11 for the Bruins. Riley Duran ducking away from a check from Kevin Wall, making his T-Birds debut. Number 37 in the blue sweater. Swayze's pass up the right side, deflected by Loof, so no icing. Duran in after it left wing corner with Johannesson defending. Puck quickly to the front and they score. Jake Schmaltz finding his way to the bottom of the left wing circle. And an unheralded third liner for the Bruins, who has also had himself a fantastic start to the year. You know you're going well offensively and on all cylinders when your third line centerman's already got 5 goals and 10 points. And for Schmaltz, that's goal number 5 on just his 15th shot on goal this season to make it 1-0 Bruins at 3:55 of the first. Jake Schmaltz comes from quite a hockey lineage in Madison, Wisconsin. His older brothers Jordan and Nick have both played NHL time. Jordan was a St. Louis Blues draft pick. Nick, of course, a star for the Utah Mammoth. Jake, the youngest of the 3, gets on the board first to try to quiet down the sold-out crowd. Well, I mentioned it's been a death sentence for all opponents of the Bruins to give up the first one. T-Birds will try to break that trend tonight. Not the result they wanted in the opening stages after the T-Birds really had a couple of good shifts to start the night. A shot to the line here by Sasuyev is blocked. Stenberg to the rebound, but he couldn't get a pass off in front of the goal. Now Wagner from the trapezoid with it. Former Bruin trying to shake loose from Gallagher. Stenberg in on the scene, but his centering pass finds the stick of Leschmelis for the Bruins. Loof then steps up to hit Lysell, a bit away from the puck, and Lysell a little bit slow to get back to his skates, and he's moving very gingerly toward the Bruin bench. He's already wearing a full face shield, and Fabian Lysell is going to stay on the bench for now, but he really looked a little bit woozy on his way back to the bench. Now Skinner knocks down a clearing attempt, trying to center one out front. Stunel and Peterson both after it. Peterson locates it. He'll get it as far as the far goal line, but Swayze will wind it around the near side. Skinner racing to keep it in at the right point. Jackson Edward around his goal for Felix. Up the wall it goes, but Rosen keeps it in. Back behind the net, Felix is pressed to the boards by Peterson. Stunel now on it. Jakob Stunel to the blue line. Rosen, a flipper was blocked by Merkulov. Rosen gets it back in across the Bruin line, and Colin Felix will now bat it forward for Tufte at the Springfield zone. Skinner gives him a shoulder bump in the corner board. Throws it up the near side for Pekka. He'll guide it to the neutral zone. Christian Wolanin is there to keep it away from the foot race of Sam Stang. Wolanin, a member of the Abbotsford Canucks Calder Cup winning team a year ago. Dalton Bancroft for the Bruins now into the T-Bird zone. A high shot that goes off the mask of Romanov, and Brown scores on the rebound as he was filling the center lane. And the Bruins off to a flying start here tonight as their captain continues his red-hot roll. Goal number 10 already for Brown, and just 5:45 into the first, it's 2-0 Providence. Lannon winds it back in from center. This Bruin club playing like they were angry about the way their game in Laval went 4 nights ago, and boy, they're taking it out on the T-Birds here early. Goals on 2 of their first 4 shots. And a couple of well-placed shots from high-danger areas from Schmaltz and now Brown. John Farinacci from center will wind it in. And Romanov, who had a great run of 3 starts, I don't think you can blame him for either of these first 2, as he was still trying to shake off the cobwebs from his mask after that initial shot drilled him up in the headgear. And by the time he got himself reoriented, it was already in the back of the net off the underside of the crossbar. Felix ahead for Riley Duran, who will send a high flipper through neutral ice. Abate locating it, and the Bruins go offside across the T-Bird line. Now the Bruins have taken the sold-out crowd out of it early in this one, as Schmaltz and Brown have given the Bruins an early 2-0 advantage. T-Birds hockey presented by MGM Springfield. Bruins already with a 2-0 lead. As for a second straight night, the T-Birds spotting their opponent multiple goals. The second time this season that the Bruins have gotten off to a fast start against the T-Birds. They scored the first 3 in the first meeting of these clubs back on the 24th of October. And here tonight, the Bruins getting goals from Schmaltz at 3:55 from Abate and Duran. Brown at 5:45 from Bancroft and Harrison. And the T-Birds' problems at 5-on-5 just continue to present themselves. And it's been ugly for the T-Birds at 5-on-5. They have now allowed 57 5-on-5 goals this year. They've only scored 28 for themselves. And above all other factors, that no doubt has been the biggest bugaboo for the T-Birds this season, as Springfield really has been a good specialty teams group this season, especially on the penalty kill. For whatever reason, 5-on-5 has gotten away from these T-Birds for really pretty much the entirety of the year thus far. The gang doesn't connect on a pass through center. Wall racing to try to cancel icing, but he won't be able to do so. So it'll be an E-zone draw for the T-Birds. T-Bird fans, now's the time to go unlimited with an unlimited wash pass from Golden Nozzle Car Wash, starting at only $19.99 per month. Wash as often as you like at any Golden Nozzle location in New England. Face-off comes to the left of Romanov, who tries to settle down what has been a bumpy start. Not really through much fault of his own, as Schmaltz was left alone at point-blank range, and then a perfect shot from Brown for the second Bruin tally, and Romanov had to be prepared here. Stanislas got a great shot from the mid-slot area, and Romanov stayed upright to grab it in the glove. Another draw to the left of Georgie as Wagner and Poitras face off for it, and Wagner wins it back behind his net. Skinner up the right wing for Nikita Susuyev, and across for Wagner. Wags across the Bruin zone, trying to go wide around Felix. Into the far corner it goes. Arriving on the scene, Susuyev, and now Stenberg with control. To the blue line, Rose and a one-time snapper, and that felled Poitras in the slot, and Matt Poitras punching the ice in frustration as he is in pain. Lysell sending it across the slot area. And now Rosen on the far side of the T-Bird zone with it, as Poitras very slowly making his way to the Bruin bench. He's in more pain than Lysell was earlier. Lysell is back on the ice for this shift as Rosen moves in and fires. Zaicek the save, and he gets the glove on top of the rebound as Poitras continues to try to shake things off over on the Bruin bench as he gets some attention from Bruin athletic trainer Rob Tagle. Must have caught Poitras, if I had to guess. Wasn't a hard slap shot, but if you catch a puck right over top of the tongue of the skate and below the shin pads, there's a little spot right between those two areas of protection that is vulnerable, and probably just feels like a dead leg for Poitras over on the Bruin bench. T-Birds win the face-off. At the line, it's Lindstein flipping one off a body and into the near corner. Peterson on the retrieval. Will spin it in deeper. Stunel trying to shake loose from Wolanin. Billy Sweezy now for the Bruins. Up the far boards to center. Lindstein doesn't see the puck. Tufte will roll it across the T-Bird zone for Brown. Brown driving the net. Cuts in. Backhander save made by Romanov. Romanov is down and out, and Peterson luckily was able to take Brown off the pursuit. And now behind the play, Tufte and Peterson with words, as Tufte didn't like the hit that Peterson laid on Brown. But Tufte chose not to drop the mitts with Peterson. It's not really part of Riley Tufte's game, despite being 6'6". Robertson sends it in from center. Jet Jones on the pursuit as he throws a hit on Ty Gallagher. Sam Stang now with it, over by his own bench. His pass deflected by Merkulov. Johannesson back to rescue things for the T-Birds. Now Sammy takes a look and doubles back inside his own blue line. Across now for Loof. Leo Loof up on the left wing for Robertson. Driving wide on the left wing. Robertson slams on the brakes. A Bruin falls down. Loof from the blue line, sends it in further. Jones will angle himself to it, and around the goal for Stang is centering, trying to flex in the air to Loof. Loof firing, he hit the post! Now Johannesson firing, blocked in front of the net by Brunet. Puck is still sitting free, and Brunet, the third different Bruin, to get up very slowly in this first period as he hobbles over to the Providence bench. Now McGing trying to break in right side. He fires and he fanned on the shot. McGing stays after Edward on the forecheck. Dalton Bancroft now will scoop it up off the glass to the neutral zone. Kevin Wall back at his own blue line to play it, but Edward takes over in center ice and skies one deep into the T-Bird zone. Rosen back for it, but his pass goes away from McGing. A shot from the line from Felix deflects wide of the target to the near side. Wall collides and knocks Edward down to the ice. T-Birds now trying to get some transition going. Pekarchik through center, gets the red line and sends into the near corner. Wall the first one to it as he'll lay it back for McGing. Wall trying to lift the stick of Schmaltz behind the net. Puck comes to Pekarchik in the slot to the point. Skinner, a shot through traffic. Zaicek makes the save as Wall found his way into the shooting lane, but Zaicek able to shut it down as we get some more pushing and shoving. 10:03 off the clock in this first period. Bruins, with the early two strikes from Schmaltz and Brown, have the 2-0 advantage. T-Birds hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield. 9:57 remaining first period. The Bruins with a 2-0 lead on a pair of goals in the opening 6 minutes. Jake Schmaltz from Joey Abate and Riley Duran at 3:55. Patrick Brown from Dalton Bancroft and Brett Harrison at 5:45, giving Providence the 2-0 lead. T-Birds, though, are unfortunately getting used to playing from behind. They erased a 3-0 deficit in Providence earlier this season, and they did that at a much later point in the game than what we've seen here tonight. Bruins really haven't generated a whole lot else besides the 2 goals. The T-Birds only with 3 shots to show for themselves after a season-high 36 shots on Dylan Garand's net a night ago. Dylan Garand was terrific in that game for Hartford last night. Get the Wolfpack a 3rd straight win and hand the T-Birds their first regulation loss in 6 games. Nikita Sasuyev and Hunter Skinner battling to keep it alive in the Bruin zone. Sasuyev able to poke it to the near wall, but Schmaltz is there to get it out to the neutral ice area. Reiner back in control, but his feed misses Sasuyev. No icing, though, as Felix is back to play. Up the right wing side for Abate. He takes his shoulder from Wagner. Loof then hit by Schmaltz. It's been a physical start to this one for both teams, as evidenced by 3 different Bruins taking bites out of the puck in the early stages of this game. Or in Lysel's case, getting a shoulder from Leo Loof. Poitras back on the ice after he blocked the shot on his last shift as he burrows in deep in the Springfield zone after it, with Johannesson defending him. Jakob Stunel able to escort it out to center ice. Lysel's pass in the feet of Sweezy back inside the Bruins zone. Wolanin's pass just got out of the reach of Peterson. Schmellis blindly turned it over to Stunel. Now Pekka from the right corner to the blue line. A one-timer Johannesson grabbed on a one-hop skipper by Zaicek to stop play. It was 8:42 remaining in period one. And the draw will stay to the left side of the Bruin netminder. Simon Zaicek in his first American Hockey League season. Nowhere near as big of a goaltender as you're used to seeing across this sport nowadays. Just 6'2", 187, 24 years of age from Czechia. Last year won 15 games in the Czech League. Had 5 shutouts for his club. HC Litvinov back in his native land. Wolanin lobs one to neutral ice. Georgi Merkulov bounces it in. All-time leading assist man in the history of the P Bruins as he gets shouldered down back behind the T-Bird net by Marc-Andre Cadet. Tufte ahead, but Merkulov had not escaped the offensive zone before Brown brought it in, and so offside is whistled. 8:24 on the first period clock, and the T-Birds trailing by 2 in the early stages, just trying to find that next goal and get this back to a one-goal game and try to change the overall mood of their bench as well as the crowd. Cadet with it, off the draw win by McGing. And directly up the left side for Pekarczyk, and then it hopped over the blade of Wolanin. McGing will get to it in the right corner. McGing behind the net, ridden down by Wolanin. Then Pekarczyk with a hit on Brown. Pekarczyk now steals across for McGing. McGing the shot, and he missed it wide against the grain, trying to go blocker side. At the line, Lindstein back in the corner for Wall. Kevin Wall chips it to the slot. McGing a wave and a miss on a one-timer. And another Bruin is down behind the play, this time Wolanin. Not sure what happened to the veteran blue liner, but 4 different Bruins going off slowly to the bench in this first period. Merkulov a steal in center. Now Brunet back on it inside the Bruin zone. Harrison will deflect it in from center. Brett Harrison trying to pursue. Rosen gets on it first, ahead for Jet Jones. Jones trying to push it by Farinacci, and now Robertson in to help out for Springfield. Long for Skinner, and out in center ice Stang. Cross ice feed Robertson. Driving down the right wing, poking it in behind Brunet. Brunet turns away from Robertson's stick checking and gets it up for Bancroft. Bancroft lobs it high in the air to center, lands at the feet of Farinacci. He'll get it across the T-Bird line. Rosen back on it there. Skinner one touch to Stang. Stang up on the left wing, unable to connect with Robertson, who will get it inside the Bruins zone, but back the other way comes Gallagher. Gallagher to the red line, will just send it in. Romanov out of his net to move it. Tow it along for Rosen. Rosen across to Skinner, who will join the rush through center. Skinner to the Bruin line, left wing feed Stenberg with space, fires, saves Zaicek, and the rebound cleared out to center by Felix. Good thinking off the rush from Stenberg, and now Skinner in on the left wing, has a step, Skinner left side, Skinner the shot, and Zaicek the save. As Skinner trying to go short side, but the Bruin netminder up to that challenge. T-Birds with the last 4 shots on goal in this period, but Zaicek starting to lock into his game. He's given up only 17 goals in his first 8 starts this season, but 4 of those came in his last outing on Saturday in Belleville. Draw will be to the netminder's right as Wagner, Susuyev, and Stenberg are back out there. Wagner coming off another multi-point game last night. He had a goal and an assist in that second period. Johannesson touches it in behind the net. There's Wagner awaiting. Wagner and Susuyev both on the joust on the right wing goal line. Susuyev digs it loose. Susuyev furthers it in now for Wagner, but it rolled under his blade. Wolanin in control of it, up the far side for Lysel. He's met by Stenberg. Lashmelis will now move his way to center, and the Latvian will get to the red line and get it across the T-Bird line with help from Poitras. Poitras across Brunet with space. Brunet the shot, and he missed the net. He will come out to center ice, and Susuyev racing down the right wing, trying to work his way around Gallagher, who stood him up at the blue line. Poitras back to defend as well, and the Bruins with good rotational defense, keep the T-Birds from getting anything in transition. Now Marc-Andre Cadet up for Pekka. Peterson down the right wing, tried to chip it through the middle, but Schmaltz closed off that lane. Now Pekka from the corner, centering. Stützle, a shot, he scores! One check, scores on another, and the Teddy Bears start coming down. Second of the year for Jakob Stützle, his first since the Hershey trip back in early October, and the T-Birds get a much-needed response and cut the lead in half 2-1 with 5:38 to go in the first. So the cleanup procedure is underway as Jakob Stützle beats Zajíček. Short side, top shelf. No cheapie for the Teddy Bear goal this season. As cleanup resumes, we will step aside. Jakob Stützle has got the T-Birds back within one on Teddy Bear Toss Night here inside the Thunderdome. T-Birds hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield. Yes. Teddy bear cleanup and collection continues. We're nearing the completion of it. 2-1 Bruins in front, but Jakob Stunel getting the T-Birds a much-needed answer after the 2 early strikes by Providence in the opening 6 minutes of this first period from Schmaltz and Brown. Stunel gets on the board with his first tally in his last 7 games from Pekka and Peterson at 14:22. Which gets the Teddy Bears delivered down to ice level. Those will be counted, those will be sorted. And Jakob Stunel slated to be one of the T-Bird players who will be delivering those Bears to a variety of charities in the local area later this week. As is the case in so many American Hockey League markets, the Teddy Bear Toss greater purpose to provide gifts for underprivileged children throughout the American Hockey League markets, and the real payoff comes later this week as Jakob Stunel brings down the Teddy Bears in the 10th year of this wonderful tradition here inside the Thunderdome. Pretty efficient cleanup procedure for the Teddy Bear crew. A number of our front office staff and a number of the building staff and the ice crew all helping to get things completed. I believe that was around 7 or 8 minutes, which, when you consider that there are probably north of 6,000 Bears making their way onto the ice, not bad. Many hands make light work. That's what my mother always used to tell me. T-Birds back within 1. They've gotten their crowd energized. They've gotten the Teddy Bear precipitation completed. The skies have cleared, and now we're ready for hockey to resume with just over 5.5 minutes left in the opening period here tonight. A couple of Bears got stuck on the safety netting behind the goal mouth, but I trust they'll all make it down into the front office later tonight. So after that pause, the T-Birds hoping that they can pick up right where they left off. The officials also are following the cleanup of the Teddy Bears. They are now summoning the ice crew out to do their usual sweep through to get rid of the snow pile up. It's always interesting to see what the momentum of the game, what happens to the momentum of the game after a delay like this. Of course, the veteran players on both these teams have been involved in a number of these, both in their own building and on the road, so it's nothing that they have not been able to prepare their teammates for, but it's always interesting to see which team is able to keep themselves loosened up and ready to get back to the task at hand. I can assure you that creatures of habit, the way pro athletes are, very few things bother them more than sitting around. And you're all revved up to play a very physically driven game. The cleanup is complete. Play will now resume with the Bruins holding a 2-1 advantage. After Jakob Stunel got the T-Birds back to within one. The T-Birds now look to press for an equalizer as Calle Rosen sends in. To the near side it goes. Matthew Pekka after it there, and behind the net over the stick of Stunel. Now Brown on the far side works it ahead for Merkulov and across for Wolanin. Wolanin stretch feet for Tufte. He gains entry to the T-Bird zone and fires, and a glove save by Romanov as he will settle the pace and calm it down. I'm sure a goaltender loves to see a relatively easy shot like that. 50-foot wrister from Tufte that Romanov was able to grab with minimal difficulty. Both teams now with 7 shots in this first period. Draw one by the Bruins. Merkulov centering, and it went right between both of his line mates, Tufte and Brown. Now Peterson away to center. Pekka gains the left side, cuts to the slot, but couldn't get a shot away, and the Bruins clear to center. Pekka back on it, and it'll turn back into the Bruins zone and fired around the net. To the near side wall where Peterson is after it. Brown cuts it off behind the cage. Pekka arrives to him, and now Wolanin and Peterson tangle up for it. Billy Sweezy looking up the middle, but it's passed out of the reach of Brown. And Peterson right back in with speed. Left wing feed Pekka at the end of his shift, gets shoved by Sweezy. Peterson will get it back around the Bruin goal, and now Peterson away from the play got taken down, and he's in a little discomfort. Looked like Peterson might have taken a slash as he's holding his one arm rather loosely down to his body, and Dylan Peterson looks like he's heading toward the T-Bird tunnel. Not what the T-Birds wanted to see, as Peterson has had some issues with shoulder and arm injuries in the past, and he is throwing his gloves, very frustrated going down the tunnel. Let's hope for the best for Petey. I didn't see what happened to him as he was engaged with a Bruin along the far boards. Now Wagner with it. His outlet feed is able to escape to center. Gallagher back on it inside the Providence zone. Frederick Brunet up the left side. Farinacci deflects to Harrison. Harrison into the zone, dropping for Bancroft. Bancroft on the left wing, able to tuck it in deeper. Lindstein is there to move it, but Farinacci swipes it. He's quickly checked off the play by Stenberg. Now it's Lindstein up off the shelf for Kevin Wall. Wall might have to log some more minutes in the absence of Peterson. He didn't feel the back pressure from Farinacci, but he gets help from Lindstein, and the T-Birds able to clear all the way down. Icing will be signaled, though, with 3:33 remaining in the opening period. Again, Dylan Peterson went right down the tunnel to the dressing room. I didn't see if he got slashed or maybe got hit into the wall along the far side of the ice as he was working to move the puck deeper into the Providence zone. And he was in a great deal of pain. So on to the left of Romanov. Gathered in by the T-Birds. Stenberg will send a high flip to center. Brunet is there to glove it down for Providence. He'll send it back in. Romanov able to stop it as it went for a ride around the dasher. Poitras quickly to the point. Gallagher with some space. Feeds left side for Brunet. His wrists are into traffic. Deflected wide by Lishmelis. McCarthy quickly met by Lysell. Poitras arriving on the scene next. Lysell on the right wing boards. Banking it to the point for Gallagher. Gallagher a wrister into traffic. Skips wide. Out the near side where McGing is the first to spot it. Hunter Skinner trying to get away from one of the referee's skates. Lishmelis now to Poitras. Poitras looking to step in front. Skinner able to mark him. Lysell now on the right wing. Banking to the point for Gallagher once more. Back for Lysell, and now Gallagher straight away. Ty Gallagher a shot blocked by the kneeling Pekarczyk. It will escape to center ice. Pekarczyk exits on a change. McGing after a loose puck. Brunet is able to shuffle it forward to the T-Bird line. Lysell falls down as he was trying to work his way around Robertson. Loof now up ahead. McGing will guide it in deep into the Bruins zone and exit on a change himself. Zaicek up the far side, unable to connect cleanly with Felix. Bruins regather. Now Joey Abate through center, chipping it forward. Duran in a foot race. We'll get to it first. Duran, the shot, save made by Romanov. Big answer there from Georgie to keep this in a one-goal game. Duran on it again, twisting it toward the net. Schmaltz leaves in front. Abate put it up over top of the net. There were a couple of T-Bird sticks in there that perhaps influenced that shot high and wide of the net. Bruins trying to get right back to work on the forecheck, but back for it is Loof. Loof along the near boards with 3 Bruins surrounding him. Now gets some support from Sam Stang. Schmaltz jabbing it in further. Abate from a bad angle firing. Romanov the glove save. He wanted to keep it in play, but then he thinks better of it and will take the whistle with 1:40 remaining in the first. 2-1 Bruins the score, 9-7 the shots in favor of Providence. Again, the T-Birds with some concern for Dylan Peterson as he was hunched over, looked to be favoring his right arm, heading down the T-Bird tunnel toward the dressing room. T-Birds were already a team in the midst of injury concerns in St. Louis that forced the recalls of Matt Luff and Alec Koskamaki. Riley Tufte now circles the T-Bird net. Lay it back on the left side for Patrick Brown, who has the second of the 2 Bruin goals. Brown checked off the puck. Nikita Sasuyev gets it out to center. Wolanin will lob it back into the T-Bird end. Skinner is back for it. Along for Rosen. Rosen up the middle. The pass ended up going underneath the glove of Wolanin to the neutral zone. Rosen now settling things from his own end. Across to Skinner. Skinner chipping it up the left side. Stenberg in front of the Bruin bench will twist it back into his own zone for Johannesson. Now Leo Loof. Right wing feed Johannesson in stride, but he overskates the puck at the Providence zone, and Sasuyev touches it on an intentional offside, so they'll bring the draw all the way back into the T-Bird zone with 56 seconds remaining in the first. Face-off coming to the right of Romanov. Won by the Bruins. Gallagher center point with it. Fires into traffic. It didn't get all the way through to Romanov, and Stunel curls it ahead for Stang. Stang to the red line, trying to send Pekka to the goal, but it's cut down by Gallagher. And back the other way comes Bancroft up the left wing. Bancroft to the goal line with it. Bancroft met and knocked down to the ice by Stunel. Now Stang ahead to neutral ice through the middle for Pekka. Pekka and Lindstein weren't on the same page in center ice. T-Birds lose possession as a result. 25 left in the first period. Bruins holding a 2-1 advantage. Gallagher up the right wing. A hit on Leschmelis in center as he was hit by Pekarczyk right as he was deflecting the pass. 15 left in the period. Lindstein fires it up. Wall will deflect it in. Zaitchek is out to play it in the trapezoid. So send it along for Brunet. Brunet shoved by Pekarczyk. Only 3 seconds left in the period, and the T-Birds will not be able to get the puck out of a corner as the period comes to an end. 2-1 Bruins, the score at the end of one. Jakob Stunel getting the teddy bear party started, answering the early 2 strikes by Schmaltz and Brown for Providence. A 1-goal game as we head to the first intermission here in Springfield. T-Birds hockey presented by MGM Springfield.
to be going to a lot of young people that might not be getting something. And it is such an honor, and my wife and I, Barbara, are so humbled to be able to be here and do something like this. It was as a kid growing up, I could never dream or fantasize doing something like this, and being with you with your elf outfit on. I want to let you know, thank God there's not a camera here. He is wearing a green elf. Oh no, you don't have your elf hat. You must have forgot that.
I don't think my wife or my mother want to see me in an elf hat.
Well, I'm seeing you the way you are. I'm dealing with it. No, really, I really thank you, and I mean that. A great job you've been doing from the Thunderbirds all over the 9+ years, and you're the best. I know a lot of fans talk about the great job you do on the air, and you really represent the Thunderbirds in first-class operation. I'm very humbled to be here.
I'm always humbled to hear that from you. It means a lot to us, means a lot to our whole organization from Nate on down. And you and the 30-member organizational ownership group that has really had your fingerprints all over everything over this organization over the course of 10 seasons. And it's hard to believe that it feels like we blinked an eye and we just crossed 10 years off just like that. And this has grown year after year. I know we still have to do the counting of the Bears later, but I'm downright ready to guarantee we broke the record for Bear acquisition again this year. And I've run out of things to say year in and year out about what this means, and as you mentioned, what Tuesday and Wednesday this week when we deliver them to all the great local organizations here, Vinny and our friends at the Boys and Girls Club, our friends at Boys and Girls Club Family Center, Martin Luther King Family Services. I will run out of time before I can name all
and the players,
organizations.
It means so. I've talked to a lot of players. It means so much to them to be part of this. They feel like they're part of the community. And the organization, as you know, is so community-oriented. I'm just humbled. I'm 74 years young, and I've been coming to hockey games since my dad used to sneak me under his coat. I swear to God, at the Coliseum. And he had a bag of peanuts in his pocket. And we'd always get the cheapest seat. That's all he had, be behind a column. And to be here today and be part of this, my wife and I, we're up here now. I was really nervous, though. 2-0. Oh, my goodness. And when I dropped the puck out, I said to the captain of the Providence Bruins, listen, I don't care if you win or lose. I just care if you let us get one goal. And I said to Pekka, I says, listen, you got to get one goal, please. Remember the year that we didn't score?
But I remind everyone the year that the shutout happened was the year that we made the run to the Calder Cup final. So I always tell people if that was the exchange that had to happen for the end result that followed, I guess it was worth the trade.
No, you're right. And I know I talked to Kevin Maxwell, the general manager here, and he apologized about the performance and stuff. And I said, you know what, Kevin? Remember, I'd rather be in a horse race than starting last and finishing first. Remember the Bruins a few years ago?
Absolutely.
Best record in hockey. And an underdog Panthers come in and beat them. Yeah. So I'm going to be an underdog and wait to the end.
St. Louis Blues, when they won the Stanley Cup, were last in the NHL standings on January 1st, 2019.
So
and look what
honestly,
happened
fans,
4 months later.
Please be patient. We as ownership have no control over who's playing. We've got a relationship with St. Louis. They care. They want to see their players winning. Mm-hmm. So one day at a time. I love our 2 goaltenders, by the way. I think they're really exciting. And the new kid, he goes out there dancing and having a good time. So he better win tonight. I want to see him dance.
Georgie, I told someone earlier when we had a season ticket holder event earlier in the week, Georgie, as people were getting autographs from him, he was telling our fans to sign the tablecloth in front of him as if he had a memento from our fans.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
And you know, the players are so good about getting out in our community. And I give it to Nate and his staff, the work they do behind the scenes. No one has an idea of how much work they put into this. And I've been around hockey for a long time. I do a lot of different cities. This is a first-class operation, and I'm proud. I tell the fans, just be grateful. We have a team. We could have not had any team.
That's
and
so true.
4 years ago, we were playing for the Calder Cup. You can't do that every year.
No.
So let's have some, and you know, the second half schedule, we got a lot of home games,
yeah,
which is to our advantage, as you know.
Got to pack this barn the way it's packed tonight, and I can guarantee you our players feel the difference playing here versus playing in some of the other places we go. They feel it, and we thank you and the ownership group for all of your steadfast support. It means so much to us to have your interest, not just financially driven, but also the passion that all of you have being Springfield born and raised people, which I think is just such a unique aspect to all of this. I won't hold you too much longer here, Ted, but Ted Hebert, my guest from Ted Hebert Pools and Spas. Ted, I love this night every single year. Can't wait to do this again a year from now.
We will, and I want to wish all of our listening audience a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, but most of all, health in the new year.
Absolutely.
Health is wealth. God bless you all, and thank you so much for your time, young man. And you do look like an elf.
I echo everything minus the elf part wholeheartedly.
Okay, my friend.
More to come after this. T-Birds Hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield.
For generations, basic health has transformed lives across our community. We know our neighbors and are passionate about meeting the full range of their diverse healthcare needs. For our cardiac patients, programs in the nation. For families with ill or injured children, we offer regions only accredited full-service children's hospital. And because that means matter, we are the source of critical care as the only level 1 trauma center in Western Massachusetts. Our dedication, skill, and service are why our Bay-State Medical Center is recognized in the top 1% nationally as a 5-time consecutive Valley Hospital for nursing excellence. Bay-State Health.
Bruins holding a 2-1 lead over the T-Birds at the end of 20 minutes of play, but Jakob Stunel bringing down the Teddy Bears on this Teddy Bear toss night. And the T-Birds still with 2 periods to try to claw their way back into this game further, but a good first step for Stunel, getting the T-Birds back to within 1. T-Birds are back on the ice tomorrow afternoon to complete this 3-3 weekend with another visit to the Amp in Providence to take on the Bruins. We'll have coverage for you here on News Radio 560 WHYN beginning at 2:50 tomorrow afternoon. Puck drops at 3:05 right here on AHL TV and WHYN. T-Bird fans, Copycat Print Shop is a full-service printing and copying office located in West Springfield that's been in the same location now for 25 years. The staff is ready to assist with any copying, printing, and binding needs, and in fact, they can even help you design your next project. Just give them a call today or visit their website to request a quote. Bob and Jenny at Copycat take great pride in caring for each of their customers personally, and that means they are ready to serve you too. Call 413-734-2679 or email wscopycat@gmail.com to get started on your next project today. Shots on goal in that first period, 9 for the Bruins, 7 for the T-Birds. Goals for Jake Schmaltz and Patrick Brown for Providence. Jakob Stunel with the answer for the T-Birds. Period 2 on the way next, brought to you by MGM Springfield. Ready for period 2 here in Springfield. The T-Birds erasing the early 2-0 deficit, or at least half of it, on the Jakob Stunel teddy bear goal at 14:22 of the first for Matthew Pekka and Dylan Peterson. Unfortunately for the T-Birds, Dylan Peterson injured in that first period. I do not see him on the T-Bird bench, and given how much pain he appeared to be in the opening period, I would be surprised to see him back for Springfield. We'll keep our eyes peeled anyway for number 22 in the light blue. Bruins looking to add to their lead early in the second. Pack to the front. Romanov a save. Took a look behind him, but the T-Birds able to clear the porch. Brunet now firing into traffic, deflected wide. Bruins coming out with a purpose on the very first shift of period 2. And now Abate stealing the puck into the right corner for Schmaltz, who got the opener of this game. Schmaltz back in front looking for Abate on the return. Juraj Pekarczyk takes over instead. Pekarczyk smoothly ahead for Skinner, and across now to Callie Rosen. Rosen a stretch feed. McGing able to get a stick on it to keep it from being an icing. Ty Gallagher whips it up the near side. Leo Loof in from the point to keep it alive for Pekarczyk. Uri into the corner, fends off a check. Pekarczyk centering, looking for Wall, and it comes on out to the neutral zone. Samuel Johannesson on it there. He'll twirl it back in deep. Zajíček out of the net to play it. Simone Zajíček stopping 6 of 7 in that first period in the Bruin crease. Romanov stopping at 7 of 9 for the T-Birds. Fabian Lysell across the T-Bird line, right circle, takes a shot and scores. It's a bit of a funky play in the sense that Lysell, as he got to the circle, had a teammate leaping to get out of the way of the shot attempt, and there's a T-Bird player also trying to get in the lane to block the shot. I think the combination of those two things kept Romanov from getting a clean look at that shot, and Lysell snaps it home over the blocker of Romanov. Goal number 10 for Lysell, as he and Brown have now both gotten into double figures on the goal front, and the Bruins just 1:07 into the second have restored their 2-goal lead. And Lysell, who has had a phenomenal season, on pace to shatter his career highs offensively, is on the board for the second time in 2 games against the T-Birds. He scored the game-winning breakaway goal with under 2 minutes left in a tie game in Providence back on the 24th of October. Now Lishmelis across the T-Bird zone to Lysell. He moves it again, he fires again, this time short side high. Romanov the save, and he gets to the rebound after Lishmelis got a weak backhand off on a second chance. 3-1 the score, as draw will stay in the Springfield end. 1:38 gone by here in period 2. Lysell from Poitras and Brunet at 1:07 of period 2. The Bruins getting 3 goals at 5-on-5 already in this game, and 9 different players getting on the score sheet with single goals or single assists. So it's been a true team effort for Ryan Mujanel's club. And off this draw, Merkulov shooting. That didn't miss by much over the stick side of Romanov. Merkulov down the slot with it. Pekka quickly arrives to him. Now Riley Tufte after it in the left wing corner. Former first-round pick of the Dallas Stars. Jockeying it loose, got it in front, and Merkulov tucked it just wide. Merkulov just sort of hung out away from the traffic. Rosen now on the near side, plays it across for Dylan Peterson. Great to see him back on the ice as he turns up the right wing side. Peterson cutting and centering, and Pekka couldn't get a stick on it. He was impeded just enough by Wolanin to keep that puck from making its way in on goal. The puck ends up off the rink, stopping play. 2:15 into the second. T-Birds down 3-1, but best news for the T-Birds, the fact that Dylan Peterson is back on the ice here in the second, after it did not look good for Dylan in that first period. He's had a couple of issues with arm and shoulder injuries in his past, so you held your breath seeing him laboring down the tunnel, but fortunately, Petey's a tough customer, and you know if he can play, he's going to find a way to do it. Stang now in the high slot, a shot into traffic. Zajíček the blocker save. Robertson after the miss in the left wing corner. He, Jones, and Stang go to work for the 4th line here. Jackson Edwards pass, eludes Brett Harrison. Loof coming back deep in his own zone to get to it. Loof turns away from pressure and outlets to Jones. Now Stang up the right wing, gets his legs moving through center. They'll play it forward, direct chip in as he goes after Felix. Robertson behind the net now, ties up with Farinacci, got it back toward the point, but Johannesson too close to the middle of the ice, couldn't hold the zone. So Jojo back to take it in his own end. Luth up the left side for Hugh McGing. McGing stopping inside the Providence zone, spins it in further now for Kevin Wall, and now Pekarczyk. Pekarczyk around the net, gets ridden down by Duran, back to his skates though. Pekarczyk stays after it, again down to a knee, again kept it alive for Wall. Wall at the right point, circling the wagons in the O zone. Kevin Wall to the left wing side with it, for stuffing it in further. Ty Gallagher on his back end, takes a hit from Pekarczyk. Cadet with a good pinch to keep Schmaltz from clearing. Now Felix on the near side will try the glass. Knocked down by Wall, kept alive right along the blue line by McGing. Bruins not out of the zone yet, but the T-Birds are in the process of changing, so that gives Felix a little bit of time. As he headmans to Harrison, who guides it in deep. Cadet coming back for it, Schmaltz arrives to him. Cadet quickly ahead for Chris Wagner. Wagner through the middle, Stenberg. Stenberg hits the Bruin line, his pass deflects to Cadet. Cadet moves in and fires wide of the net. Sasuyev to the miss on the right wing side. Nikita to the middle, Nikita the shot, and he missed it high. And it'll come skittering out to center. Rosen couldn't hold the zone. Now Hunter Skinner surveying the options. Manning to Rosen. Rosen leads the rush up the left wing, feeds across Skinner. Skinner in low, one-time bid, Zaicek the save, rebound thrown in front. And Rosen from the point, returns to Sasuyev, right side shot, Zaicek the save. And he covers to stop play. Tell you what, Bruins took the 3-1 lead, but the T-Birds have really done a good job getting back to a good offensive game here in the second. They've proven to themselves on more than one occasion that they're able to come back from multi-goal deficits. You wish you didn't have to go to the well that often, but they certainly have the belief they could do it. And after they won in Bridgeport a week or so ago, Steve Konowalchuk said just how important it was, as this puck goes out of play, how important it was for his group to see more than just a moral victory in a game. They've had games in the past where they fell behind, put together good efforts, but ultimately didn't find enough offensive results to do anything about it from a win-loss perspective. But that win in Bridgeport, he thought would give them some confidence, and it certainly should give them some belief in what has continued to be a really tough go to begin the 25-26 season. And a point that my guest Ted Hebert made in the first intermission, the T-Birds have had to be on the road a lot in this early season, and you couple that with the injuries and the player movement with St. Louis, and that is not a tough road to navigate. Rosen, a good aggressive play to hold the zone at the blue line. Strunzel staying after Brunet in the far corner, who reverses back to Gallagher. Fabian Lysell now settles things down and will chip it forward off the skates of Leschmelis and deep into the T-Bird end. Loof back on it first. Leschmelis ties him up. Poitras in on the scene as well. Lysell now on the right wing boards with it. Lysell into the high slot, but a good pestering effort by Jones forces it out to the neutral zone. Leschmelis trying to curl his way back in. He steps to the left wing and fires wide of the net intentionally. Loof will get to it and take a big hit in the corner from Lysell, but Loof bounces right off the check. Stang quickly handcuffed by Tufte, and a one-hand karate chop on net by Lysell is stopped by Romanov. Now a point shot by Edward is blocked, kept in the zone by the young blue liner. Now Brown on the left wing with it. Down in the corner for Lysell. Lysell shoved to the end boards by Stang. Pass back out front, Robertson after it, but Edward keeps it moving on to Tufte. Tufte back along the wall. Lysell swinging into the high slot, but his passer's shot deflected by Stang. T-Birds still have not been able to clear their zone though. And now Loop on it, plays it to an open patch of ice, but Edward will hold it at the right point. Sending it down further to Brown. Brown from skate to stick in the right corner. T-Birds with tired bodies on the ice. Merkulov weaves his way to the right wing wall, but Merkulov had it roll off his blade. Jones will jump to it and get to the neutral zone, but only to the red line. Brown moves back in and fires, and that's deflected up and out of play over the safety netting and up into the rafters in the crowd. We'll step aside. 6:14 gone by in the second. Bruins adding to their lead on a goal by Lysell. It's now Providence 3 and the T-Birds 1. Thunderbird Hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield. 13:46 remaining second period. Bruins holding a 3-1 lead as they have greeted Georgi Romanov rather rudely on this Saturday night with 3 goals on 14 shots. Fabian Lysell, the latest Bruin to connect. Here in period 2, just 1:07 into the period from Poitras and Brunet. Jakob Stunel with the only T-Birds goal that brought down the Teddy Bears with just over 5 minutes to play in the first. Stunsel's line on the ice right now, Pekka, Stunel, and Peterson. Stunel crunched into the glass on the near side. Pekka over to the loose puck. Brown will hold the zone, playing it to the far side of the ice, but Marc-Andre Godet swoops to it. Through the middle for Matthew Pekka. Pekka will play it through center ice. Peterson on the chase. Billy Sweezy back on it first. The former Yale Bulldog gets it to center. Pekka quickly met by Merkulov, and the Bruins take over. Christian Wolanin, D-to-D for Sweezy. Now Merkulov in center, cross ice feed on the money to Tufte. Tufte in on the left wing, curls and shoots, a blocker save made by Romanov. Godet trying to go up the middle with the pass, it's intercepted. Tufte moves in, Tufte to the backhand, got it to the front, they never get a shot away. And then Tufte from a severe angle, stopped by Romanov. Peterson just looking to clear it, gets it past Brunet to the neutral zone. Ty Gallagher with it now for Providence. Former BU Terrier. Also played a year at Colorado College. Farinacci into the zone, but his drop pass goes right between the legs of Bancroft. Still got to Harrison. Rolls it back in wide of the net. Bancroft behind the net. Canceled out by Lindstein, allowing Stang to take over control. His pass out of the reach of Godet. Harrison swings it back on goal wide. It careens right out in front. And Bancroft plays a centering pass through the crease. Pekka up ahead for Lindstein. Thrown back in front again by Bancroft, and Godet able to snag that. Pekka's pass way out of the reach of Robertson up the left side, and icing is called here. 12:19 remaining in the second. The T-Birds still trying to find a little more cohesion here in the second. Pekka's been out there a while, and Stang and Robertson were able to get on the ice to replace Pekka's wingers, but the captain has logged a shift well over a minute at this point. Schmaltz, Abate, and Duran now out for the ozone face-off for Providence. Stang on his strong side will take it for the T-Birds. Sam wins the draw. Robertson with it along the near boards. He'll play it softly as far as the Bruin line, and Pekka will finally get his change. Gallagher right up the middle through center ice, feeds on the left to Schmaltz. Has a man breaking in front. Gallagher trying to get it to Duran. And then he pushes it to the side of the goal, and with paddle down, Romanov able to make that stop. Godet under more pressure. With some help from Robertson, and Simon's away to center. Robertson at the end of his shift, forced to just play it in from the red line. Wagner pursuing against Brunet, who overskates the puck. And Schmaltz is back to help out. Wagner knocks down the first clearing attempt, and then Johannesson holds it in at the right point. Johannesson skyhooking one toward the front, a leaping snag by Felix. Puck was loose in the crease, and Zajic is able to cover it up, as Wagner was hoping it would land at his feet for a chance in tight. Now we get some gathering of the minds behind the net with Stenberg and Wagner locked up. The linesmen swoop in to prevent any further shenanigans. Draw will be to the right of Zajic. Stenberg, Susuyev, and Wagner staying out there as they get themselves together in a huddle to discuss what they'll do in the event of a Wagner draw victory against Poitras, which they do get. Johannesson point to point for Loop. Left wing side Stenberg. Stenberg's centering pass goes off Wagner to the far boards. Rescued by Susuyev as he fights off the checking of Lishmelis to get it in deep to Wagner. Wagner turning away from Edward, who knocked him off the puck. Wags back to his feet, though, before getting pasted into the end wall by Felix. Poitras on the backhand up the middle, turned it over to Stenberg. Stenberg to the slot. Stenberg the shot, saves Zajic. Rebound Loof, and Zajic makes the second save And the net comes off the moorings as Felix and Wagner with more words for one another. Much the same for Edward and Luth along the near side corner. Wagner still not done having words for Colin Felix. But it's been a different Chris Wagner the last couple of weeks for the T-Birds after he had such a slow start to his season. He has been at the center of a lot of the good things the T-Birds have done over the last couple of weeks. Who would have figured? The guy from Walpole, Massachusetts is a very beloved figure here in Western Mass. Zai checks right. Again, Pekarchik and Wall trying to keep the positive mojo going. Pekarchik on the left wing. Some good individual moves to get into the high slot. Pekarchik down the right wing corner. Johannesson centering, looking for Wall, but getting a piece was Felix. And ahead to center it goes. An aggressive pinch by Pekarchik. Lushmel is trying to get behind the defense. Lushmel's a one-hand shot and a save made by Romanov. And Wall will just backhand it up the wall. Stays in the zone. Sweezy firing. Saved Romanov on a deflection. Wolanin sends it in further to Poitras. Poitras back for Lysell, but Wolanin had moved to the middle of the ice, so the drop feed comes all the way back down into the Bruins zone. Poitras in center. Saucer feet ahead for Merkulov over the right wing. His shot blocked by Luth. To the far corner it goes. Johannesson ahead for Wall. Quickly for McGing. And McGing will scoot to center. Still awaiting the first power play in this game and the first penalty in this game. As we tick to the midpoint of regulation. Luth cross for Johannesson. Up the far side, Wolanin holds the zone out at the blue line. Merkulov now across the ice to Tufte. Will gather it off a bounce. Tufte in deeper for Brown. Brown continues the cycle to the other side. Wolanin in from the point. But his drop feed also pulls a teammate to the neutral zone as Tufte comes back for him. Billy Sweezy up the near boards for Brown. Merkulov in a race with McGing. McGing able to fend off the pesky Merkulov. Brown follows up and gets it around to the point. Brunet waiting for it there. Frederick Brunet, a shot blocked as McGing got into the lane that time, and Peterson content to ice it with 9:27 left in period 2. Another ozone draw coming for Providence as they try to extend to a 3-goal cushion for the first time tonight. King and Farinacci on the draw. Still waiting for a clean drop of the puck. McGing is in no hurry to go retrieve the puck from the corner. Savvy play there from the vet. Buy himself an extra couple of seconds of rest. Finally, it's down fairly, and Leo Luth will get it up off the glass to center. Gallagher back for it, Brunet. And now Bancroft gets by McGing and fires off the rush. A bouncing shot that Romanov eventually was able to shuffle with his goal stick away from trouble. And now Luth, seeing it come to him at the side of the goal, is content to play it back to Romanov for a whistle. 9:10 remaining, second period. The early goal by Lysell remains the only one in this second period. Bruins maintaining a 3-1 lead. Thunderbirds hockey presented by MGM Springfield. .10 remaining, second period. Providence with a 3-1 lead over the T-Birds. Goals from Schmaltz, Brown, and Lysell for Providence. Jakob Stunel with the teddy bear goal for the T-Birds at 14:22 of the first. A game that has not seen a single power play or penalty. Face-off coming here to the right of Georgi Romanov. T-Bird netminder trying to keep this within 2 for his mates. Stang, Jones, and Robertson. Out for the D-zone draw, which Stang wins back into the corner. Lindstein up the left side, Robertson out of his skates to center. Stang calling for it, takes the pass, flying down the right wing. Stang stopping on the half boards, waiting for a trailer. Has one in Cadet. Down in the right corner, Robertson. Back to the blue line, Stang. A quick trigger pull, never made its way all the way through. Turning Jones, firing, blocked by Gallagher. Now comes the Stang again. He fires over top of the net, off a block. Jones around to the near side. Lindstein trying to keep it out near the point, but it's poked past him to center by Harrison. Now Cadet's pass intercepted in center by Farinacci. Don Farinacci down the right wing. Stops, hits the trailer Gallagher, but his shot misses the net. Swayze will play it safely and deeper to Harrison, who's canceled out by Cadet. Stang to the loose puck, but his pass out of the reach of Lindstein, and Theo has to hustle to it. Schmaltz holds the line, but his pass back across the zone intercepted, but Jones then gave it right back up to Schmaltz. And both teams playing volleyball back and forth with each other as Stang is now tied up between 2 Bruins. Almost got himself in a pickle. Eventually will land and able to backhand one toward the front, and Cadet is there for it for the T-Birds. After back and forth helter-skelter, Jones will finally just get it into the O-zone. Now Abate camping out of the T-Bird line, drops it for Duran. Duran driving wide, Duran centering off of Romanov's pads. And Stunel will try to escape the D-zone pressure. But he runs right into Schmaltz, and now Abate to it again. He'll roll it to the right point. Felix racing over, but it bounces past him to neutral ice. Now Rosen a right wing feed. Stang was going to the bench on a change. So Edward back in his own zone to get a handle of it for Providence. Felix out in center has Poitras. Poitras across the O-zone, Lashmelis. Lashmelis to the slot, shoots and misses the net on the glove hand side, and then Rosen golfs it up and out of play, but it was deflected, so no penalty. Immediately, Jim Curtin signaling that it was a deflection and not a clean clearance by Rosen, which would have resulted in the game's first penalty. Draw coming to Romanov's left. Pekka, Stunel, and Peterson back out there. T-Birds have not been able to get much going offensively the last handful of minutes. Another draw win for the Bruins. Felix from the right point sends it off the body of Stunel, and it ends up off of the surface. And so the draw will go right back to where it was about 5 seconds ago. Poitras, Lashmelis, and Lysell against Pekka, Stunel, Peterson. This time Pekka with help from Rosen gets control of the draw. Peterson in center ice, angles it forward to the Bruin line. Lysell beautifully spins it ahead for Lashmelis for a cutting Poitras in, save Romanov. Georgi Romanov with a huge answer there, keeping his team within 2. The way these Bruins defend a 3-goal deficit is a real tough pill to swallow. Peterson around Zajacek's net with it now, feeding the point Loof. Leo Loof across for Johannesson, a shot into traffic off the post, rebound, Stunel scores! What a night for Jakob Stunel! A goal in each of the first 2 periods, and for a second time, he's cut the Bruin lead to 1. With 6:46 to go in the second, it's now 3-2. He had 1 career goal in his American Hockey League career coming into play tonight. He's got 2 in 2 periods this evening, after 1 in his prior 19 games. Leo Loof through center, up ahead, Stenberg trying to deflect it in. Gallagher able to clear pressure to center, but Loof steps in again. They'll lay it behind the Providence net. Wagner arriving into the end boards on Gallagher. Now Brunet with head up ice, hits Tufte. Now Patrick Brown across the T-Bird line, a good shutdown by Lindstein. And now Wagner through the middle, Stenberg. Otto Stenberg to the right wing. Stenberg slamming on the brakes, spins it in further for Gaudette. And around to the near corner, Sisuyev after it. Nikita Sisuyev between a couple defenders, winds it around the net. Gaudette moves in from the right point as he and Brunet come together. Puck high in the air, Gaudette able to keep it moving and further to Wagner. Wagner on the right wing in the middle. Stenberg, a backhander kicked away by Zaitchak. Wagner back in front. Stenberg couldn't get a clean shot off. Now Merkulov on it. He'll flip it up the near side and it will get to center. And as far as the T-Bird line, T-Bird still with 5:40 left in the second to push for an equalizer. Lindstein from center, winds it in. McGing after Sweezy on the far boards. Puck still sitting there in the corner. The battle rages on. Wall looking to center, but Brown is there for the Bruins. He'll scoop a backhand all the way down. And this will be icing against Providence with 5:23 to go in the second. Another ozone draw, McGing, Pekarchik, and Wall. Out against the Brown unit that just iced it. Rosen and Skinner joining their forward mates. Bruins win the face-off, hard off the glass. Sweezy looking to clear it. Brown indirectly able to spike it to the neutral zone. Skinner will deposit the puck back in. Zaitchak out to move it. He'll try the far boards. Wall got caught up with one of the referees, and now Bancroft down the left wing across the T-Bird line with it. Dalton Bancroft will just carry it all the way into the corner as his team needed a change. Now he relays to the point. Wolanin across to Sweezy. Sweezy a shot wide out the far side. Bancroft gets to the carom first. Back for Wolanin. And now we have a whistle and the net is off behind Romanov. 4:52 remaining in the second. We will not be stepping away as we have seen a couple of times in recent games when the defending team is responsible for the net coming off of the pegs. Even if it's not a penalty, you don't get the benefit of the media stoppage. Farinacci's unit over the boards for the Bruins, who hold a 3-2 lead here late in the second. It's been far from the cleanest game for the T-Birds, but they've battled. Down by a pair on 2 occasions. Gotten it back to a single goal both times. Wolanin firing, didn't get a lot on it. And Romanov easily accepts that one in his midsection and stops play. 4:47 left in period 2. Now we'll step aside. Jakob Stunsel's second of the evening has made this a 1-goal game again. Bruins 3 and the T-Birds 2. Thunderbird Hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield. Jakob Stunsel has gotten the better of his fellow Czech in the Providence net. Simon Zaitchak on 2 occasions. The Teddy Bear goal at 14:22 of the first. And then a rebound off the post at 13:14 of the second. Johannesson and Loof getting the helpers on Stunsel's second of the night and third of the season. Getting the T-Birds back within 1. We are still awaiting special teams in this game. Both coaches certainly have had the opportunity to roll all 4 forward units and all 3 defense pairs to their heart's desire. Amazing, it's only the second meeting between these 2 teams this year in game number 21 of the year for the T-Birds and game number 21 for the Bruins as well. Draw to the right of Romanov, won by the Bruins. Wolanin at the point, leaves in the high slot. Harrison a one-timer, deflects wide. Farinacci to it behind the net. Romanov's down! Farinacci trying to tuck it in! And it is apparently not in the net. I'm sure they're going to take a look at this as Robertson has his helmet ripped off as there's quite a Donnybrook out in front of the net. As Robertson is tied up with Bancroft. And the referees down there on the scene ruled that it never crossed the goal line. I'm sure the Bruins are going to ask for them to take a look at this, as Romanov looked like he toe-picked trying to locate the loose puck and was literally sitting on his rear end in the crease trying to get himself back into position. They are going to take Bancroft and Robertson to the box. Actually, they're going to take Jones to the box as well for the T-Birds. I don't know if they're going to give Bancroft 4 minutes or if it's just going to be a Bruin power play with Jones and Robertson both picking up minors. They'll sort that out. I'm sure they're probably also going to take a look at the replay. And no matter what the result of the review is, these penalties will stand as they occurred post-whistle. Tell you what, if Farinacci did not put that puck in the net, I have no idea how he didn't. Romanov was not even hugging the post on that far side. But right now, the two views we have seen, and if you're watching on AHL TV, you see those overhead camera angles. You cannot see the puck conclusively at all. But it will be a Bruin power play, as they're going to say that Jones was the third man in on that altercation. So it amounts to a Bruin power play, putting the T-Birds on the Curry Honda penalty kill for the first time tonight with 4:37 to go in the second. T-Bird PK, the best in the East at 87%, second behind only Grand Rapids for league leadership. But it has not been as good at home for these T-Birds. Just 18 of 24 in this building, as opposed to the phenomenal 29 for 30 away from home. A kill the T-Birds have to have right now, the way this game feels. Draw win by the Bruins. Wolanin walks the line and fires, blocked by Skinner. Wagner chases down the miss and now moves up ice with it. Chris Wagner down the right wing. Will carry it all the way to the corner. Doesn't want to give it up, just melting time off that penalty. Stenberg in on the scene as well. Otto Stenberg will play the shell game in the near corner between three Bruin defenders and does a good job killing off another 10 seconds or so. Wolanin, the lone defenseman on this power play unit for the Bruins, and offside goes Providence as Lushmelis was beaten into the zone by Poitras. The unit is Wolanin quarterbacking things with Merkulov, Poitras, Lushmelis, and Brown. Haven't even mentioned Lysell, who is on the second power play unit for Ryan Mougenel and the Bruins. That is how deep this offense goes for Providence. Tied for the sixth best power play in the league at 24.6%, but they were 0 for 3 in their first matchup against the T-Birds. They didn't have Wolanin that time, though, as he leaves for Lushmelis. Lushmelis, who played his college hockey just up the road at UMass. Brown to the right point for Wolanin. Wolanin scaling it down the wall and around to the far corner. Lushmelis and Skinner come together. And the puck comes to Peterson, who will skate his way to center. Poitras slashes him. Referees take a look at it. And now they're going to take both Peterson and Poitras. They're going to call Peterson for embellishment. Well, that's a decision. And look, nobody has spoken to how much of a pest Matthew Poitras is more than I have over the last year plus, but I'll admit that wasn't much of a slash. But the fact that they take both him and Peterson for what probably shouldn't have been a penalty on either player, after we had no penalties in the first 30-35 minutes of this game, it's interesting that that is what is now bringing the whistles out all of a sudden. That Poitras one-hand poke, it certainly could have been called a slash. It was on the wrist, it wasn't overly hard, but I don't think what Peterson did was overly embellished either. He kind of shook out his arm, but if he really was embellishing, he would have fallen down to the ice and clutched the arm in pain. So, yes, embellishment is a very loose term these days, at least in the eyes of Matthew Minetti. It won't change the manpower situation. Bruins remain on the power play 5-on-4 for another 59 seconds on the Jones penalty. Second unit is now on the ice for the Bruins, but Tufte is met by Wagner. Now Lysell on the right wing, but again the Bruins go offside, as that time Tufte couldn't hold his position. Fans tell you their viewpoint. Jones and Peterson each got unsportsmanlike penalties. Poitras was called for a high stick, which that was not. Robertson and Bancroft got the expected roughing minors. Now Tufte and Skinner having words for one another. The referees have agitated both benches and the crowd now, which could make for some interesting hockey in the next 23 minutes. The serenade continues. Brunet to center ice for Providence. He'll deal it back for Lysell. Lysell smoothly into the T-Bird zone. Leaves for Tufte. Tufte, a shot punched away with the blocker by Romanov. Lysell in further. Romanov will wind it back toward the right point. Tufte after it there. Forced to send it in further, but a good read by Rosen. Ahead for Stützle. Already two for Jakob Stützle as he cuts in, slipping it in low, just out of the reach of Pekka. Pekka will keep it moving to Stützle on the cycle. Jakob spins away from a check. Stützle down to an E. Still protects it well, and then plays it to an open corner. That will do it for the penalty time. The T-Birds kill it off. And we're back to 5-on-5. Robertson, interestingly, was the player that stepped out of the box for the T-Birds. They had their choice of whether Robertson or Jones would leave the box. That's the reason for that. Romanov around for Leo Löw. He'll reverse the flow, but Lindstein wasn't expecting the pass to go around the wall. Schmaltz now behind the net with it for Providence. Schmaltz to the point, Wolanin. Christian Wolanin will send it down wide of the target. Romanov lays the paddle down to free it up for Lindstein. Stang back for Löw, who dodges away from the check of Riley Duran. Löw back ahead for Hugh McGing. And McGing gets it ahead to Stang smoothly to center. 3-on-2 developing here. Stang over the left wing, feeds it across. Lindstein, let the pass go through his legs on the one-time attempt. Now Stang stepping in front, couldn't get the shot away as Schmaltz was able to cut him off at the last moment. One Wisconsinite stopping another. Now Pekarczyk into the slot, feeds across. Johannesson in, centers, and just missed the stick of Stang. Now McGing on the left wing, back to the point. Godetta shot, block, rebound comes to McGing, but Duran ties him up and steals it. Ahead for Schmaltz, who will get the red line and send it into the T-Bird zone. 1:30 left in the second. T-Birds playing with some more gusto to their game here. As McGing from the red line hacks it in deep. T-Birds get their change. Ty Gallagher back on it for Providence. Up the right side, Patrick Brown. Brown across the T-Bird line, cuts to the slot, backhands in low, missed the stick of Tufte on the aerial feed. Brunet will hold the zone and fling it back toward the front of the net. It's loose right near the paint, and Sasuyev locates it. Ahead for Stenberg through center. Stenberg across the Bruin line, leaves for Wagner. Wagner ducks to the wall, waits for reinforcements, sends it in low. Sasuyev and Stenberg both in after it. Merkulov as well. Now Brunet on it for Providence. Frederick Brunet holds it for an extra beat. And now we'll send it safely to Tufte in center ice. Tufte, though, gave it right up to Skinner. Now Sasuyev up the left wing. Sasuyev weaves to the inside, got it to Rosen, he centers, and it was blocked off. Rosen back in front with it now. Rosen to the right point with it. Calle Rosen looks and fires, but it's blocked by Brown out to center. 30 seconds left in the period. As Brown moves up the left wing side, Brown chipping in front, Lysell, a one-hand shot, save, Romanov. Now Rosen up ahead for McGing. McGing away from pressure to center. He'll get the red line and chip in and follow after it. To the far corner he goes, 15 left in the period. Stützle joins him. And the Bruins have control, and Wolanin is content to just hold on to it behind the net, not facing any pressure. And this game will go to the third period, with the Bruins still ahead by a goal as both teams get one in the second. Lysell for Providence at 1:07. Stützle is second of the night for Springfield at 13-14. 24-15, the shots in favor of Providence. Has been far from perfect for the T-Birds, but give them full marks. They have battled in this one against one of the top teams in the American Hockey League. Within a shot heading into the third. AHL Plays of the Week kick off the second intermission when we return. T-Birds Hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield. 3-2, the Bruins in front as both teams tally one in the second period. Jakob Stunel with 2 tonight now for the T-Birds. Fabian Lysell with the difference-making tally in a 3-2 Providence lead. It was a 3-2 score the first time these two teams played after 2 periods. T-Birds ended up tying that game early in the third before Lysell had a game-winning act of heroism for the Bruins with under 2 minutes to play just over a month ago. We now send it to the voice of the Wolfpack, Alex Thomas, for the full installment of this week's AHL Plays of the Week.
Snow has begun to fall across the north, while temperatures dip and the true feel of hockey season arrives. On the ice, we've been treated to 2 months of hard-hitting, highlight-filled action. Forget the turkey sandwiches. The holiday weekend was filled with an all-you-can-eat buffet of saves and goals from around the American Hockey League. For example, if pumpkin pie wasn't your thing, perhaps a Rutger McGroarty goal was. McGroarty lit the lamp for the 4th straight game since returning from a training camp injury, sniping one home on the power play in the Penguins' 4-1 triumph over the Lehigh Valley. McGroarty's career-best 5-game point streak earned him a call up to Pittsburgh by the end of the weekend. Nick Hart baked up this call.
Phil Tomasino catches up to it. Former Milwaukee Admiral renders it for Pickering, fakes the slapper, giving him a McGroarty wrist shot. Oh, he scores! Make it 4 in a row for McGroarty. A target breaker in and out of the net in the blink of an eye, and that power play goal has the Penguins up 3-0.
A Half Moon cookie or Utica Comets goal? Why not both? Treat yourself. It's the holidays after all. The Comets headed to Syracuse on Saturday to battle the crunch. After giving up an early goal, the Comets responded less than a minute later on a big strike from Kalen Addison to tie the game.
Comet, Portolo in traffic. Portolo left wing for Casey into the Syracuse end. Wraps along the end boards. Malonsky in front for Portolo, and he was denied it tight by Halverson. Casey straight away. Addison. Who shot? He scores! Kalen Addison wires it home for the top of the right wing circle. And the Comets have their first goal in this building this season to tie the game at 1.
It was Addison's second of the year and ended the Crunch's shutout streak against the Comets in Syracuse. Joe Benson of the Comets Radio Network provided the cookies and the call. Staying in the North Division, the man at the head of our Thanksgiving table, Don Stevens, provided another thrilling moment. The Syracuse Crunch held a third-period lead in Rochester on Friday night, but the Amerks were able to tie the game with just under 4 minutes remaining. Not thrilling enough for you? Well, how about with just 14 seconds left, defenseman Zach Jones scored his first goal as a member of the Americans to complete the comeback.
Coming down the corner, back at the right point, Amherst keep it in. Backhander toward the net, knocked down in front. They score! Holy moly! It's poked in a goal. Jones tips it through, finds a hole to the knees of Fanti. 14 seconds to go. The Amerks take the lead.
You can't just have all desserts on a holiday weekend, right? There's got to be some balance. But what about a little poutine to go with a turkey sandwich? Sounds good, right? That Canadian flavor is brought to us this week by Nikita Chibrikov of the Manitoba Moose. The Moose scored a 4-3 victory in a back-and-forth affair against the Chicago Wolves to close out November. Chibrikov gave the Moose their second lead of the day with a sublime sequence of moves in the third period. The Winnipeg Jets' second-round pick went on to tally in the shootout as well. Here's Daniel Fink on the call.
Here come the Moose on the attack. Chibrikov dances into the zone, goes between the legs, tries to cut to the goal, and he scores! Nikita Chibrikov! What a goal! And the Moose have a 3-2 lead! Sent back in the intermission, he just couldn't buy one right now. Well, he puts on all sorts of magic to put the Moose out in front in this third period.
Shifting down a little south to Iowa, Will Rousseau made his first start of the season for the Wild against the red-hot Grand Rapids Griffins. Rousseau found himself in a position about as fun as facing the in-laws this time of year, as he found the league's leading goal scorer in John Leonard all alone in front. Ben Giselson provides the narration for the netminder's key save, one of 26 in his first start of the campaign.
Carson Lambos with some nifty skating back behind his own net, but he turns it over right in front, and Will Rousseau right into the fire and right on cue makes a huge save.
Wine country is Barracuda country. And that's where we make our penultimate stop on this week's edition of the AHL Plays of the Week. The AHL's Rookie of the Month for November, Igor Chernyshov, notched 10 goals and 6 assists in just 12 games during the month. His Barracuda were a stellar 10-1-1-1 during that stretch. On Saturday, the rookie notched 3 points in Loveland, Colorado, propelling San Jose past the Pacific Division leading Colorado Eagles 4-3. Chernyshov tied the game 2-2 in the second period after the Barracuda had fallen behind 2-0. It's a bottle of red, a bottle of white, and a goal call from Nick Nolenberger on the Barracuda Audio Network.
And they're able to swipe it back up the wall, off the bench. Here comes Chernyshov working it. He shoots and scores! Oh, what a snipe upstairs from Igor Chernyshov. Shot out of a cannon coming off the bench. And a frozen rope over the glove hand of Posh, and we are all tied up at 2-2.
Lastly, while I try to play gracious host this week in Hartford, the Hartford Wolfpack probably aren't getting invited back to Cleveland for the holidays anytime soon. That's because the Wolfpack knocked off the Cleveland Monsters twice, including a 3-2 comeback victory on Saturday night. Rookie forward Gabe Perreault was the hero on Saturday, recording his first multi-goal game and game-winning goal as a pro. His strike in the final 61 seconds on the power play helped the Pack pick up 4 points on the weekend.
Son, Dowling, Perreault, and Hamelas the forwards. Hartford looking to steal one tonight in Ohio. Dowling gets around Mayo. Justin Dowling sent it in front, brings on, settles it down. Perreault, he scores! Gabe Perreault on the power play with 61 seconds left, and Hartford has taken the lead.
The holiday season is in full effect now, and the fun is just getting started around the American Hockey League. Put up the lights, throw another log on the fire, and get another cup of hot cocoa warmed up, because another week of thrilling goals, absurd saves, and big hits is cooking up around the AHL. From our AHL family to yours, happy holidays, and we'll see you next week.
We thank Alex for putting together this week's installment. We'll take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard when we return. After 2 here in Springfield, it's the Bruins 3 and the T-Birds 2 on Teddy Bear Toss night inside a sold-out Thunderdome. T-Birds hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield. Three to two, the Bruins in front of the T-Birds at the end of 2 periods of play as we quickly check the out-of-town scoreboard. Games that were final earlier today, Grand Rapids 3-2 over Toronto. The Griffins are now 18-1-0-1. just continuing to have a phenomenal start to their season, historic for their franchise. Cleveland, a 3-2 overtime win over the Syracuse Crunch. Other games in action right now. The Belleville Senators ahead 3-1 on Laval early in the second. Rochester up 3-1 in Charlotte on the Checkers. The Bridgeport Islanders with a 3-goal first period. They lead the Wolfpack 3-0. Hershey a 1-0 lead over Wilkes-Barre Scranton after the first. And after one in Iowa, the Wild and Moose are scoreless. Lehigh Valley 2 and the Comets no score at the end of the first. Games later tonight in the Western Conference of the AHL. Rockford hosting Colorado, Chicago hosting Milwaukee, Henderson hosting Bakersfield, Ontario hosting Calgary, San Jose, and Tucson, Abbotsford hosting Coachella Valley. We'll have more from inside the Thunderdome after this as we get ready for the third. T-Birds trailing by a 3-2 score to the Bruins. Thunderbird Hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield. Shots on goal, 24 for the Bruins, 15 for the T-Birds. T-Bird fans, Bates Fulham Insurance has been catering to the needs of Western Mass neighbors for 2 generations, ensuring that you can enjoy the peace of mind that comes from professional expertise, personalized service, and a proven commitment to protecting the customer. Bates Fulham offers a wide range of insurance and related financial products and services to suit the needs of both individuals and businesses. Whether you're seeking basic protection for your property, customized personal coverage for your family, or financial and health-related products for you or your business, the staff of highly trained professionals is eager to help. Call or stop by one of 3 area locations. That's Bates Fulham Insurance, a family-to-family business since 1954. Third period on the way next. T-Birds and Bruins brought to you by MGM Springfield. Puck is down for the third here in Springfield. The T-Birds and Bruins 3-2 Providence the score, and immediate icing to begin the final period against Springfield. Georgi Romanov up until the last moment was getting a equipment repair done over at the bench by Casey Barilli, the outstanding head equipment manager of these T-Birds. Georgi had to hustle back to his net and create the snow pile in the crease, as goaltenders do. And he's good to go and ready to begin this third. T-Birds looking for an equalizer. They have twice trailed by a pair in this game. Both times Jakob Stunel has gotten the T-Birds back within one. Now the T-Birds, after winning a D-zone draw, try to get the forecheck established. McGing to the right point, but the pass rolls under the blade of Skinner. And back down deep in the Springfield end it goes. Jake Schmaltz to it first, around for a centering pass that goes past Joey Abate. Brunet from the left point now steps in and shoots, blocked by Stang. Rebound coming dangerously to the net. Gallagher holds the zone. Left side for Brunet. Broken stick on the ice as the shot is blocked. Poitras after the loose change in the left wing corner. Twisting back with it, feeds the point, Brunet. Frederick Brunet winds, fires. Save made by Romanov after Rosen knelt down in front of it to block it. Brunet, point-to-point Gallagher. Gallagher, a wrist shot. Didn't get through, as again it looked like Rosen got a piece of it. Wagner content to just chip it down into the Providence zone. It will not have enough steam for icing. And Rosen able to get to the bench for a change, as he is in some pain. Both teams have had players battered and bruised tonight. There will be ice packs aplenty in the two dressing rooms after this one's all said and done. Sasuyev ahead for Wagner, across for Johannesson. Johannesson elevators a feed that Stenberg couldn't control cleanly, and Wagner now back on it at neutral ice for the T-Birds. Handcuffs Loof with a pass as Loof and Lysell now come back deep in their own zone. Now they're back in the Springfield end four. Now Johannesson ahead to center. Sammy across the Bruin line left side. Johannesson all the way up into the play, trying to center, and it deflected away from him by Billy Sweezy. It's now Wolanin inadvertently got clipped by a high stick. Sasuyev was falling down, but the arms stay down. Lishmelis to the right wing side, Lysell. Lysell to the circle, Lysell the shot, and that time getting a shoulder on it was Romanov, as Lysell trying to, for a second straight period, get an early one in the frame. 18:05 left in regulation. T-Birds down by a goal. Jakob Stunel has already brought down teddy bears. Can he bring down hats before the night is done? As he has both of the Springfield goals, one in the first at 14:22, one in the second at 13:14. The T-Birds also have still yet to have a power play in this game. Bruins have only had one. Game has been 5-on-5 almost the entire night. Jackson Edward winds it around the net for Merkulov in the slot. Brown out of his skates got a shot off, and Romanov able to make the right pad save. Tufte rolls it in deeper. Marc-Andre Gaudette comes together with Brown. Marc-Andre trying to clamp down the Bruin captain, who has one of the Providence goals tonight. He and Lysell have both picked up goal number 10 of their respective seasons. Tufte on the left wing half-boards, using his big size to protect it out to Edward. Colin Felix sends it around behind the net for Merkulov. Merkulov in front for Tufte. Tufte to the point. Edward, a one-time snapper, grabbed and held by the standing Romanov, which will stop play with 17:26 remaining in the third. Georgi has settled in nicely after two goals went in on him in the first 6 minutes of the game. He has turned away 17 of the 18 he has faced since the start of the second. Farinacci, Bancroft, and Harrison now out for Providence. Chet Jones unit on the ice for the D-zone draw for the T-Birds. Jones did win the face-off. Bancroft's stick is broken. He's heading to the bench for a new one. As Robertson bounces it deep into the T-Bird offensive zone. Kevin Wall in after it behind the Providence net, trying to tie up Frederick Brunet. Brunet sidestepping. Wall gets it up on the right side for Harrison, but it's deflected away by Rosen. Wall after it again in the right wing corner. Brunet back on it for Providence, turns away from a check and got it up the middle. Bancroft, though, lost it to Jones. Jet Jones to the left wing side into the circle. Jones all the way around the net with it. Doesn't have anywhere to pass yet, so now he'll lay it behind the net for Robertson. Robertson trying to shake loose from Bancroft, who got the free arm around Robertson. Wall there to pick it up. Back for Robertson. Simon couldn't get a shot away, though. T-Birds, though, keep it alive. Rosen at the left point, stolen away from Harrison. Rosen to the right wing, Skinner. Skinner shooting, and Zajac able to make the save with Wall trying to create some traffic. The Bruin netminder gets a whistle. 3:25 into the third. T-Birds up to 16 shots for the game. Last night, Springfield had 18 shots in the final period in Hartford against the Wolfpack, a game that was also 3-2 at the end of 40 minutes. McGing, Pukarczyk, and Stang out for the Ozone draw. Johannesson and Loof manning the points. Schmaltz wins the face-off. Edward up the near boards, just gets it safely through center. Loof back to take it in front of his own net, and directly ahead for Stang in neutral ice. Stang sends forward and in. McGing and Felix to the end wall. Edward tries the near side. Durant under pressure from Johannesson, gets support from Schmaltz, who clears the zone. Pukarczyk ahead for Johannesson, who will lob it back in, and Stang right back in on the forecheck. Getting position on Edward. Sam Stang looking to kick the puck away. McGing in there to join him. Hugh McGing, Sam Stang, both battling Colin Felix, who got ahead to Abate, who backhands it out to center. Foot race for the loose puck. And Cadet able to get back and steal it away from Durant. Marc-Andre now turns his way through center into the Bruins zone, but he's poke checked by Poitras right as he was about to enter the O-zone. Now Stenberg backhanding it in. Lannon runs him off course, giving Sweezy some time behind the goal line. Sweezy ahead, in stride to Poitras. 3-on-2 developing. Poitras pass deflected away nicely by Lindstein. Lishmelis chips it back further into the T-Bird zone. Sisuya has to hustle to it ahead of Lysell. Now Cadet up the near side for Wagner. And Wagner will get it to the neutral zone. Lannon up for Lysell down the right wing. He's hip checked nicely by Lindstein. Following up and shooting Poitras. Got it shouldered away by Romanov. Wagner back the other way, 2-on-2. Wagner will just backhand in deep. Susuyev on the chase with Brunet. Four-man rugby scrum in the far corner. As Stutzel arrives off the T-Bird bench to engage with Lysell. Stutzel in deeper for Susuyev. Nikita Susuyev behind the net, shoved by Gallagher. Stutzel trying to catch up to Brunet. Turned it over, puck on the bench, shoots, missed it wide, he gets to it. Centering Susuyev, couldn't get it on net. Stutzel now right wing boards with it. Twisting it back, trying to get loose from Lishmelis. Stutzel wins the board battle. Stutzel in further to Pekka. And now Stutzel from glove to stick, fires, he scores! It's a heading for Jakob Stutzel! First he brought bears, now he brings headgear. And this game is tied. He had one career American Hockey League goal in 19 games. Tonight he's got 3. The cleanup for the Hats is not going to be quite as time-consuming as the Teddy Bear cleanup, or so we think. But most importantly, at 5:28 of the third, Jakob Stutzel on his own has tied this game. The hat retrieval goes in under 60 seconds. And the T-Birds, for the first time since the game began, are back on even terms. 5:33 elapsed time of the third. The puck ends up glancing off somebody on the T-Bird bench, bringing a halt to play. Jakob Stutzel facing a fellow Czech in Simon Zajíček. I don't know if he's faced Zajíček in any other international setting or in Czechia, but if he has, he certainly knows the book on him. And Skinner flops it ahead. Stutzel after it again. It's chopped up and off the rink on a deflection. A career night in the young career of 20-year-old Jakob Stutzel, who will stay on the ice for an O-zone draw here with Pekka and Peterson. If you're wondering, there have been 2 4-goal games in the history of the T-Birds. One in the regular season by Paul Thompson, one in the postseason by Will Bitton. That is what looms for Stunel. But most importantly, the T-Birds back even in the game. Romanov calmly away from pressure, spins it up the near side, and Peterson on it in the neutral zone. Up for Stunel, but Brown picked his pocket. Rosen does his best to fend off the Bruin captain and did a great job of it. Right by the bench, but now Brown pushes onward with it and fires off a stick and out of play. We'll step aside, 6:02 off the clock in the third. Jakob Stunel has all 3 T-Bird goals in this game and has on his 20-year-old shoulders carried his team back to even here in the third. T-Birds and Bruins brought to you by MGM Springfield. Jakob Stunel with the perfectly and evenly distributed hat trick. One in the first, one in the second, one in the third. And he has got the T-Birds back to a 3-3 tie. After the Bruins twice had 2-goal leads, and twice Jakob Stunel has pulled the T-Birds back into the fight. Well, 3 times he's brought them back into the fight. Pekka and Cecilia, the helpers on Stunel's hat trick goal. Pekka's got a pair of primary assists in the game. Stunel has only taken 3 shots on net. All 3 of them have hit the net. And the T-Birds doing all of this without the benefit of a power play so far tonight. Jackson Edward back in the D zone for the Bruins. High off the glass, will bounce it down to the T-Bird zone. Samuel Johannesson with it there, up for Simon Robertson. Jet Jones to the red line, will backhand it in. Stunel getting double shifted as he's on with Jones right now. Felix ahead, Farinacci's drop comes to Harrison. Harrison with speed across the T-Bird line, a right wing feed gathered in and centered. Harrison couldn't get a shot off, Farinacci getting back out in front, got a backhander off that Romanov fights off. Jones will just chip it to the neutral zone. Edward back on it for Providence. Frederick Brunet. High in the air through center, past Bancroft and down. Icing is called against the Bruins. Bancroft saying he got a piece of it. The linesmen are gathering. And they will move the draw to the neutral zone. Jim Curtin overruling the linesman. Again, Pekarczyk and Stang now the trio out. With Skinner and Lindstein defensively. Skinner back in his own zone, fends off a hit from Schmaltz. Now Stang ahead to center in hot pursuit on Gallagher, who plays it away from danger and ahead for Schmaltz in on the right wing. Schmaltz takes a look over his shoulder. McGing presses him to the wall. Durant in to pick up the loose change as he's met by Lindstein. Now McGing and Schmaltz come together again. Pekarczyk through the middle, connects with McGing as McGing flies up the wing into the Bruins zone. He's tripped and a penalty comes here, and the T-Birds will finally get their first power play of the night. As Gallagher upends McGing. 12:42 remaining in the third of the Mass Lottery power play. Has a chance to give Springfield its first lead of the night. I don't know if Jakob Stunel was on the power play unit on paper, but the way his night has been going, I don't know how you can't put him on the ice right now. Gallagher sits for the trip. And the crowd trying to spur on their team. Wagner with Rosen and Lindstein, Pekka and Stenberg to begin it. They win the draw. T-Birds are 2 for 3 on the power play against the Bruins this year. Pekka left circle centering, and it went all the way through to Rosen. Back at the top for Lindstein. Right side Rosen, a wrist shot. Saves Zajíček. Big rebound. Pekka couldn't settle it down. He'll get it back to Lindstein, and now Rosen right side. Rosen in low, and a save made. Zajíček, he might have more so blocked the pass as Wagner was hoping to have a tap in at the back post. Good read by the goaltender. 1:33 remaining on the Gallagher penalty. Bruin penalty kill has not been a strength of theirs, especially on the road, under 79% away from the amp. So into center comes Pekka. Pekka bobbling it, but gets it across the Bruin zone. Sweezy walls him off. Wolanin will try the near boards, and he gets it past Rosen. And back down into the T-Bird end. Romanov will come out to move it. Quickly ahead, Rosen tied up. Lindstein has to hustle back. Lashmelis moves in and shoots, and a good back check by Stenberg kept Lashmelis from getting a shot on net. Hans Lashmelis has 2 shorties this season, second most in the AHL. 55 seconds left on the power play. Stunel is on the ice now with the second unit. Lindstein ahead. Stunel guides it into the Bruin zone. Zajíček will slide it around to the far side. McGing and Sweezy collide. Stunel in after it there. Stunel with 3 already in the game. Game that is tied at 3. Now Stunel ties up Brunet. Bruin bench hollering for a call they don't get. Pekarczyk at the right point holds the zone. Sends it rattling around. Zajíček doesn't have his stick right now. Sasuyev in behind the net looking for McGing. McGing out of the left corner with it. T-Birds can't get the puck to the middle of the ice, but Sasuyev holds in. Sasuyev kept it alive. Stunel left side across. One-timer Pekarczyk, and he blasted it wide. Sasuyev back across. Pekarczyk gathers it in. 9 to go power play. Pekarczyk right side in low for McGing. Still no sick for Zajíček. Stunel in the slot, back to Pekarczyk. Pekarczyk takes a look, back for Stunel. He couldn't tee it up, and then Gallagher out of the box steals it. A 2-on-1 the other way. Gallagher with Lashmelis. Gallagher centering. Lashmelis stopped by Romanov. Rebound sitting free. And the T-Birds hustling back. Brown shot blocked by Pekarczyk. Mercy. 10:20 remaining in the third, and back to 5-on-5 we go. In a 3-3 tie, Edward up the left wing, shooting wide. It'll come to the line. Felix holds the zone. Round to the near side, Merkulov after it there. Rosen now behind the T-Bird goal, settles it down and plays it through a snowdrift and down the ice. Will it have enough steam for icing? Yes, it will. With exactly 10 minutes left in a regulation time. As Edward and Felix sandwich Peterson after a whistle. Felix and Peterson back to their Hockey East days at UMass and Boston University, getting into a jawing match. We'll have a draw in the Springfield zone. T-Birds not able to change following the icing whistle. Jones with Stang and Peterson, Skinner and Rosen, Brown out with Merkulov and Tufte for Providence. Draw to the far corner, Rosen one hand's behind his net for Skinner, and now Peterson head up ice, throws it through neutral ice, down into the Bruin zone. No icing this time as Felix looks over his shoulder. Stang arrives to him, Tufte dropping for Brown, back to Tufte. And now Rosen back in his own zone, gets support from Skinner. Will backhand it into his own bench stopping play. 9:39 remaining in the third. Will step away. T-Birds nearly take a lead on a power play, but Jakob Stunel with a goal in each period has brought the T-Birds back to a 3-3 tie. Thunderbirds hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield.
T-Birds spot that shot and we all your favorite color, red or blue. Everyone goes in first in the winner.
9:39 remaining here in the third. The T-Birds and Bruins tied at 3. Shots on goal heavily favoring the Bruins, 29-19, but the T-Birds have refused to go away here tonight. Jakob Stunel with 3 even-strength goals. After, again, he had gone 19 AHL games with 1 career American Hockey League goal. Tonight he's got 3. Draw deep in the Springfield end to the left of Romanov. Wagner against Poitras. Poitras wins it back. Gallagher looking for a shot lane, steps in, all the way to the goal line, moves in front and fires, blocked. Loof doesn't see the loose puck. Lysell trying to play it back out front. Brunet at the left point overskates it. And Sasuyev will bump it forward to center. Wagner across the red line, gets it into the Providence zone. Gallagher up the right wing. Lishmelis gets the red line and rolls it in. On the rim, Romanov back for it. He'll wait as long as he can before playing up the wall to Stenberg. Neatly in the middle for Wagner. He and Sasuyev move up 2-on-2. Wagner down the left wing, dips the shoulder, backhands one. Zaicek the save. Wagner back out front with it, right wing side on the half-boards, given space. Wagner throwing it short side wide. Lindstein racing to the point, will keep the zone for the T-Birds. And behind the net, Wagner unable to pick it cleanly. Skinner activates from the point. Lishmelis looking to clear, and he will get it to the neutral zone. Lindstein back on it now for Springfield, ahead for Stenberg, and now Sasuyev. Peter Sasuyev goes for a skate in his own zone and hands to Pekka. Matthew Pekka away from Farinacci to center ice. Right wing feed on the money, Stunel. Stunel to the slot, curls it to Pekka. Pekka tied up in the right circle. He falls to the ice, back to his feet, kept it alive to the line for Lindstein. Back for Stunel. He turns and fires, blocked in front of the net. You can feel the air in this building of anticipation every time Stunel has the puck. T-Birds have played it with a high stick, and that's the reason for a stoppage here. 8:19 remaining in the third. Stunel still with perfect shooting percentage tonight. That last attempt did not get all the way in on net. Draw to Romanov's left. King and Schmaltz in the meeting at the dot. T-Birds win control of it. Johannesson got it ahead to center. Pekarczyk in pursuit on Brunet. Frederick Brunet sends ahead to Schmaltz, who has a step through center. Across the T-Bird line, Abate, his low wrister, kicked away by Romanov with the stick, and now Pekarczyk the other way to center. McGing across the Providence zone, sends it around to the near corner. Pekarczyk in after it there. Stang also arrives on the scene. 3 Bruins in the area, and Brunet comes away with it for Providence. Ahead for Schmaltz, rink wide in center, Abate. He'll chip it in, get knocked to the ice by Loof. Referees let play continue. Johannesson now moves his way to center ice, gets the red line, carries it into the Bruins zone now on the right wing. Centers for Pekarczyk, he shoots, blocked by Sweezy. Pekarczyk keeps it alive at the right point. Pekarczyk dropping it off for Pekka. Pekka on the right wing half-boards, dancing with it, but then gave it away to Brown. Brown near the end of a shift, though. All he can do is step to center and play it in across the T-Bird line. Rosen back at the controls for the T-Birds across for Hunter Skinner. And Skinner gets the legs moving around Merkulov into the Bruins zone. They'll poke a backhander around the net. After it is Stunel again. Stunel back to the point. Skinner a one-time cranker, saves Zaicek. Big rebound, Pekka! And Zaicek got just enough of it to deflect it in the air and eventually smother it. For as great of a year as Simone Zaicek has had coming into tonight, he has looked at times a little unsettled. The T-Birds trying to find a finishing touch on the young goaltender. 7:03 remaining in the third. The T-Birds will get Robertson, Wall, and Jones out for an offensive zone face-off. In a 3-3 weekend, Steve Konowalchuk cognizant of that, trying to spread out the ice time here in the third. Giving the fourth line a chance for an offensive zone start. Jones ties up the face-off. Robertson after it in the near corner. He and Brunet come together. Brunet digs it loose. Schmaltz, though, forced back to the wall by Robertson. Wall after Brunet, and now after Gallagher as well. Gallagher sends a high flipper through center. Skinner coming back for it. He'll get to it in front of his own net. Duran trying to knock him off the puck. Skinner battling all that distraction, got it ahead to Jones. Jones to the Providence line, rolls it in on Zaicek, and will force the goaltender to cover it with 6:37 remaining in the third. And we'll see what Steve Konowalchuk wants to do in terms of personnel. It looks like he'll send the Wagner unit out onto the ice with Chris centering Stenberg and Sasuyev as he has most of the night. Sasuyev with assists in back-to-back games. He's starting to find a little more confidence in his game playing with Wagner and Stenberg these past two nights. Wagner and Brown on the draw. To the left of Zaicek. Wagner wins it. Sasuyev toward the slot. Sasuyev, the shot deflected up and out of play, as Merkulov did not give his countryman any space to work with. So we'll drop it again to the right of Zaicek. Wagner and Brown on the draw. Brown this time gets the better of Wagner. Sweezy up the boards. Wagner leaping, but couldn't hold it in. Patrick Brown will now whistle it deep into the T-Bird end. Marc-Andre Godet back forward up the near side. Sasuyev through the middle, gave it away, but gets it back. Sasuyev cross center ice into the Bruins zone down the right wing. Sasuyev to the goal line, backhands it around the goal. Felix met by Stenberg. Sasuyev throws a hit that actually caught more of Stenberg than the Bruin. Now Tufte the other way, across ice, Brown over the right wing. Back for Tufte, and Tufte shoots, and Romanov swallows it up. Makes the save and covers as Tufte is finished into the end wall by Wagner, and Tufte slow to get to his feet. Tufte admired his shot, and Wagner finished the play. Don't see an arm in the air, and Tufte picks himself up off the ice. With Wagner with a few extra words for him. 5:59 remaining in the third. We step aside. T-Birds and Bruins tied at 3 in what has been a dandy tonight in front of a sold-out Thunderdome. T-Birds hockey presented by MGM Springfield. .59 remaining, third period. T-Birds and Bruins are tied at 3. 3 different goal scorers for Providence. 9 different point producers for the Bruins. 2 different ways to get the 3 goals tonight. The Bruins, the balanced approach. The T-Birds, the Jakob Stunel approach. A goal in each period for Jakob. Goals 2, 3, and 4 of his season. And after 1 goal in his first 19 American Hockey League games, he triples up tonight. Gets the T-Birds back even. Face-off will be deep in the Springfield zone. Georgi Romanov has very quietly settled the tide in his end of the rink after he was beaten 3 times in the first 21 minutes. He has now stopped 19 of the last, or 20 of the last 21 he's faced, including a huge 2-on-1 stop on Lushmelis in a 3-3 game in the third. Lushmelis winning this draw, back for Wolanin. Wolanin moving down toward the corner. Peterson shoves him off the play, and now Pekka intercepts and moves to center, crisscrossing with Stunel. Stunel for Peterson over the right wing. Peterson driving wide. Peterson angle shot, hit the post. Peterson beat Zaicek short side, but tickled the iron and didn't find the net. Romanov now from behind his net will move it up the far side. Pekka awaits there and will send a high flip through neutral ice back to the Providence line. Puck bounces on Lushmelis as Cadet then walls Poitras. In center ice, it's Stang ahead. McGing in stride. McGing knocked down by Brunet. Puck sitting in the slot. Cadet after it on the right wing side. Back to the slot, McGing, but his pass hopped over Stang at the blue line. And Lindstein has to get on his horse with Harrison chasing. Lindstein played it up into pressure, but will get a chance to settle it down again. Along for Stang. And Stang chips it through center. McGing got a piece of it, enough to slow it down and not have it have enough steam for icing. Jackson Edward, two-line feed in center, connects with Harrison. Harrison looking for an opening, will just send it in high in the air to the near corner. Rosen back on it first for Springfield. Callie taking a look. Will play it up the far wall, and with help from Jones, the T-Birds get the clear. Edward coming back for it, 4.5 remaining in the third period of a 3-3 game. Skinner at his own blue line with it. Jones will deflect it in deep. Robertson in pursuit against Felix. Robertson ties it up. Kevin Wall to the loose puck. Wall in the left wing corner. Couldn't get control of it. And now Joey Abate ahead to center. Bancroft is changing. Abate will roll it in. He's by himself on the rush, trying to weave his way through pressure. And we have a whistle stopping play. And they're going to call interference on Johannesson. I've seen a couple plays like this earlier tonight not get called, a couple on each team. But now with 4:06 left in the third, Matthew Minetti has made the call against Johannesson. And the T-Birds will be shorthanded with 4:06 remaining. I'll be honest, the interference that Leo Loof showed a couple of minutes ago was way more egregious than what Johannesson just did. And Steve Konowalchuk is getting his money's worth for Matthew Minetti. So he turns to his penalty kill again. Only the second time the Curry Honda PK has been called upon tonight. Brown wins the draw. T-Birds need one badly. Wolanin steps in, shoots. He missed the net. Comes out the near side. Poitras. Lushmelis now back to point position for Wolanin. Christian Wolanin surveying, chipping it in low. Ends up with Brown in the corner. Brown sends it the other direction for Lushmelis. Lushmelis on the half boards, down in the corner, Merkulov. Merkulov to the point, Wolanin bobbled the puck. Wagner with pressure deflects it out of play into the bench. That gets the T-Birds a reset and a chance to change any bodies if they would like. 1:36 left on the penalty to Johannesson. 3:41 left in the third. Bruin power play. Pekka now drawing against Brown. Brown again wins the faceoff. Wolanin moves to the middle. Right wing feed. Merkulov one-timer blocked by Rosen. Now Lushmelis out of the right corner. Leaves it back for Merkulov. Merkulov into the circle with it. Merkulov stopping at the hash marks. He shoots. It deflects high and over the net. Skinner frees it up. Rosen having trouble moving after he blocked that shot. And it bounces on Wolanin through center. Pekka racing after it. The captain will get to it. Pekka knocked down by Wolanin and knocked into the end boards, but play continues. Lushmelis ahead. Poitras couldn't hang on to the pass. It's icing. Icing against Providence with 1:02 left on the Johannesson penalty. 3:08 left in regulation. 3-3 tie. Wagner and Stenberg out with Lindstein and Loof. As Rosen tries to find quick healing on the bench. He's been shaken a couple of times tonight. Loof's pass ahead. Wagner at the Bruin line. Wagner ducks into the far corner and now will just try to melt some clock. Bruins come away with it now, and it's Wolanin. Christian Wolanin from center, bouncing it in. Brown after it first, near corner. Around to the right wing side, Poitras, met by Stenberg. Tufte at the line, works it across. Farinacci settles things down. Brunet at point position with it now. Brunet to the left wing side, got around Lindstein to the corner. Brunet circling the net with it. Fighting off stick checks from Loof. Tufte from the line, flipping one into the slot. Poitras chipping it to the near side, but he turned it over to Lindstein, and Lindstein will bounce it down the ice. 20 to go on the power play. 2:22 left in the third. T-Birds trying to see their way out of trouble here in a 3-3 tie, and Skinner dislodges it from Tufte and clears. Johannesson is standing in the box. 3 to go on the power play. Brunet ahead. It rolls under Lysel's stick. Cadet to it. He'll roll it to the neutral zone. Johannesson out of the box. T-Birds back to full strength. The kill does the job again. As Peck at the red line will send it in deep. Under 2 minutes to play regulation in a tie game. Sweezy for the Bruins. Sends it forward for Lysel, and across now Gallagher. Eerily similar game to the one we had last month, or late October I should say, in Providence. 3-3 late, with the T-Birds erasing a multi-goal deficit again. Peterson after this loose puck, deep in the Providence zone on the right wing halfboards, in low Stunel. Stunel centering, Loof got it toward the goal and it was blocked aside. Abate now chipping it through center, a foot race. Duran catching up to it down the right wing. Stops in the corner away from Lindstein. Loof arriving next on the scene with Abate. As it comes to Wolanin at the line, 1:18 remaining. Wolanin center point, a little flipper blocked in traffic by Stunel. Pekka down to a knee, doesn't get it out. It's backhanded wide of the goal by Schmaltz. Now Duran loses his balance and falls down. Puck sitting in the corner. Abate locates it first, around to the near side for Brunet. As we hit the final minute of regulation time in a 3-3 tie. Peterson digs it out and clears the zone to center. Patrick Brown now lobbing it back in. Loof gives him another bump. Lindstein around to the near side. Peterson has to change his path to get back to it. Skinner now able to get in front of Brown and clear it up the near side, and Peterson gets air under it to lob it to the Bruin blue line. 35 left in regulation time. Sweezy's pass deflected by Stenberg into the T-Bird bench with 31.7 remaining. "30 shots for the Bruins, 23 for the T-Birds. Jakob Stunel with all 3 T-Bird goals tonight. 1 in each period. Neutral zone draw, whipped in by Gallagher around the net. Romanov lets Rosen come back to play it. Skinner hard around the wall near side. Sasuyev deflecting it. Wagner able to punch it through center. Wagner now down the right wing, fended off by Brown. Bruins clear it to center. Skinner there waiting for it. He'll play it back in deep with 15 seconds to go. Sweezy approached by Wagner. Wagner trying to kick it loose as he and Sasuyev battle behind the net. Nikita sees it. Wagner as well. 5 to go in regulation, centering feed cut off by Sweezy. And we are going to go to overtime here tonight. A battered and bruising game for both teams as Gallagher, the latest man to pick himself up slowly. 60 minutes not enough for these 2 bitter rivals. Off to overtime next, brought to you by MGM Springfield. Well, the T-Birds are trying to defy all statistical patterns this year. Bruins have not lost this year when they score first. They're 13-0. Bruins have not lost this year when they lead after 1. They're 8-0. Bruins have not lost this year when they lead after 2. They're 12-0. Bruins have not lost in overtime this year. They're 4-0. Well, Jakob Stunel and the T-Birds have just refused to go down easy tonight. And we're up to 3-on-3 overtime. The T-Birds are 0-2 in 3-on-3 overtime this season, 0-2 in the shootout. Bruins have not even had to get to a shootout this year. They have 4 3-on-3 overtime victories. Game-winning goals from Matej Blumel, Matthew Poitras, Dans Leschmelis, and Fabian Lysel. T-Birds will begin the overtime, and they will throw Jakob Stunel on the ice right away with Pekka and Rosen. The Bruins counter with Merkulov, Leschmelis, and Wolanin. T-Birds now attacking right to left in the overtime. Pekka and Leschmelis on the all-important face-off. 1 point in the bag for both teams, one more up for grabs. As Pekka wins the draw back into his own zone, Rosen will gallop after it, take it behind his net, trying to dodge away from Merkulov, and now hands to Stunel. Jakob Stunel protecting it from the back of the net, got it up to Pekka. Pekka across the Providence zone, has Rosen joining him as the captain weaves into the corner. Is checked by Merkulov, but keeps possession on it, back to Stunel in neutral ice. Jakob almost gave it away, but got support from Rosen, but Rosen had it roll past him in neutral ice. And Wolanin takes over for the Bruins. Christian Wolanin left to right into the T-Bird zone. Leaves for Dans Lishmelis into the slot. Lishmelis back across Wolanin one times and scores. And the T-Birds overtime curse continues with Christian Wolanin first as a Bruin to give Providence their 5th overtime win of the season as they knock off the T-Birds 4-3 tonight. We'll wrap it when we return. T-Birds hockey brought to you by MGM Springfield. Providence Bruins, you don't get to be 17-4 by accident, and this was far from a perfect performance for Ryan Mujanel's team. But in the end, they find a way to overcome the T-Birds' tenaciousness, coming back from 2-goal deficits on 2 different occasions, and Jakob Stunel's hat trick proves not to be enough on this night as Christian Wolanin scores the overtime winner for Providence just 45 seconds into the extra period from Lishmelis and Merkulov. First goal as a P Bruin for Wolanin as he caps off the Bruin victory after Lishmelis sold the shot enough to get Romanov far enough out of the blue paint to open up just enough space for Wolanin's one-time bid. Doesn't take away from a good performance from the T-Birds in battling back to get a point out of this game. They have now earned points in 6 of their last 7 games overall and have earned points in 4 in a row here on home ice. And it doesn't take away the sting of the overtime loss. Bruins got to a 2-0 lead not even 6 minutes into the opening period. Jake Schmaltz opening the scoring, 3:55 in on a centering pass from Joey Abate. Patrick Brown adding to the lead just 1:50 after that. 10th of the season for Brown from Bancroft and Harrison. Made it a 2-0 game at 5:45 of the first. Teddy Bear toss night here in Springfield, and luckily for T-Bird fans, they didn't have to wait too terribly long As before the first period came to an end, Jakob Stünsel began his most prolific night as a pro with the first teddy bear goal of his young career.